Welcome, Seneca.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get my headphones connected.
Oh, awesome. All right, I'm starting the stream. Hey, everybody. I am excited to welcome you all to this very important meetup. And I'm going to introduce the participants in clockwise order, starting with Oakland Mayoral candidate Suz Robinson, Suzanne Robinson. Welcome, Suzanne. Suzanne, talk a little bit about your campaign.
Thanks, Denny. I'm Suz Robinson. I've been at the intersection of business and public policy since 2009, working as Vice President of Governance for the Bay Area Council, which is a regional business public policy group. So I've been kind of immersed in the issues that Oakland is facing for quite a while now. And other than that, I have basically worked in every sector from big business to startups. I've worked for nonprofit, and I've actually been the chair of a recovery center, so an addiction recovery center, doing wilderness therapy. And I learned a lot about addiction and policies and what it really takes to address the addiction crisis, including putting the right people in charge of the solutions. So I think some of the benefits I have to this office are just a whole bunch of experience. In my job now at the Bay Area Council, we're conveners. So we get a bunch of groups together that oftentimes don't agree with each other. And we get to center with it and get consensus. So it's something that I've learned to be very good at. Is a lot of times people don't agree, but just the act of getting people together, getting under the surface a little deeper and figuring out what we do agree on. Because I think that even in the most contentious issues, there are a lot of things that we do agree on, and there are ways of approaching the issues if we can just get to that deeper level. And especially for a city like Oakland, we have a lot of different sides to these issues, but sometimes when I listen to people, I wonder what we're fighting about, because I think a lot of different perspectives a lot of times are needed to solve these issues. Like one perspective isn't going to do it. So I guess I'll stop there, Zinni, and to give other people the opportunity and put myself on mute.
Thank you. Thank you. Peter. Legendary Peter Liu needs no introduction, but for the purpose of this, I asked him to introduce himself and talk about his campaign.
Yeah, my platform for this campaign season is to teach people how to be millionaires and how to be billionaires with my method. So how to be a millionaire in 2 years and a billionaire in 10 with my method. So a lot of people are interested. They are surprised how easily you could build wealth in America with this method. Yeah. So.
And we lost Miss Cindy. We got her back. So Cindy, we lost Mindy. We lost you, but I'm going to ask you, even though I'm going to ask you to go because you were originally supposed to go next. then something technically happened.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
Sure. Introduce yourself and tell us.
What happened? I was trying to get rid of the echo.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my name is Mindy Pechenuk, and I am a candidate for mayor of Oakland. And I'm a 50-year veteran in the fight politically across the United States. And I can tell you right now, I'm in a very precise mode, since I'm the only candidate that is actually talking about the fact that we need to shut down fentanyl and the drug trade, which I believe is very fundamental to solving crime and the homeless question, because the drugs is pervasive throughout. And I take a strong stand in working with President Trump and the Doge to bring in their help to clean out the finances of Oakland so we can concentrate on actually funding industry and manufacturing and bring back a safe city by getting rid of the city ordinances that are hindering our police and the federal oversight. And right now I'm standing out in front of where the debate is going to take place, or I should say the pay to play is going to take place between Barbara Lee and Loren Taylor. And if there's anything else I want me to say in terms of the intro, I can go through more, but that's where I am right now.
All right. And Derek Sue, you're next in order, and so then Seneca.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, I'm Derek Sue. I was Oakland mayoral candidate. I had to drop out because of medical reasons. But I was running on a forum that would address our homeless situation with long-term permanent settlements for housing that would be created with funds that are already in the city coffers, that the state has already provided those funds. Also, land has already been acquired for both of those situations for settlements. But also, I was looking at expanding the interest in Oakland with a business. Business is suffering here, and we need to create new business and entertainment section for an entertainment district, which includes casinos and gambling here in Oakland, because those tax revenues are being overlooked to really help the city come back. And also projects that would help or would be funded by TIF, tax increment financing. And so we need to bring those kind of projects so that Oakland can climb out of the cesspool that it's in right now.
And oh, by the way, if you all have us on, please make absolutely certain I cannot hear my echo to my voice from your room. He's like that. You don't want to hear my goofy laugh, do you? Because it will get goofier. Now, that brings us to the man who, were it not for his actions, we would not be here right now. That is a fact. Seneca, how are you and welcome?
What's up, Jenny, everyone? I'm out here at the farm right now, you see, where they only invited 2 candidates. So I'm not happy about that, but there you have it. But, what's up? What's up?
And you know, and then okay, and I'm going to introduce Pastor Robinson and put it and unmute his mic. And so,
I gotta
Pastor,
go get me a good spot in here.
How are you doing?
outstanding.
Good to see the
Introduce yourself,
candidate.
and then we'll introduce yourself real quick.
I'm
we'll
Pastor
start.
Fabian Robinson, the second Robinson on the program right now. So how are you doing?
Just fine. I'm going to start right now in the interest of time. There is a problem that's brought us all here today. And the problem is that KTVU has 2 candidates, but not just that they have 2 candidates, but one of them, Loren, his Empower Oakland, which he is part owner of, endorsed him, and by all appearances, paid for this production to have KTVU do it. KTVU has not said that they're paying for this out of their pocket. And it presents what I have described as a scenario not unlike the one where Jake Paul and Logan Paul set up a fight with Mike Tyson and basically, you know, put out the rules for themselves. But this is politics, not entertainment. And this determines who runs Oakland. My question, and I'll start with you, Suz, first, as mayor, what would you do? Because I forgot to explain the second part of it. The second part of it is that the Black Alliance, and there's 3 words to that. One of my accidentally left out, but nonetheless, purports to be a Black organization, but Philip Dreyfus funds it, who is not Black. And the 2, that went to a gigantic hue and cry through social media, led by Oakland Councilmember, District 3 Councilmember Carol Fife, among others. There are people who are just blindingly upset about this, to say the least. So, Suz, I'll start with you. If you were mayor, what would you do to solve the problem? Or, in your view, is there a problem? Some people may not think there's a problem.
Yeah, thanks, Denny. You know, this is a great question, especially for a special election. I mentioned to you offline. I found, This election's almost over before it begins, because especially when you submit your paperwork January 17th, and then there's so many different elements of a campaign, from website to this to that to fundraising, that it's hard to catch up. Like, you feel like you're always playing catch up. So coming into a special election like this with two brand name politicians who already have funds locked in and big teams and staff, it is definitely an issue, I think, for this election, that it's a little bit weighted unfairly. And I think, unfortunately, it's not a benefit for Oakland, because this is a very important election. We have had a lot of problems in Oakland with politics specifically being blamed for some of our issues. And here we are holding a special election where politics is kind of dominating. And I feel myself as a candidate, I definitely, some people have seen my post on Nextdoor and X about frustrations being intentionally excluded from certain candidate forums. And it's almost like you come into this race really wanting to do the best job you can for Oakland, and you end up feeling like it's kind of set up for you to not be even not even to have much of a voice, So maybe that's not fair. And I want to say, I'm not blaming the candidates, it's the system and the processes around it that are sort of responsible in some ways. And in terms of what we can do about it, right? Because it's frustrating, because it seems like every time we try to do something to make fair elections, there's always workarounds. People are always pushing the envelope and trying to get around that. And so I think that, some suggestions are fundraising caps. We can cap fundraising for certain elections where it's going to be difficult. I think registered forums, like, there's a lot of groups that are known to hold candidate forums. So getting those forums registered and ensuring that they're required to have an inclusive process, I think that would be great. And then the other thing is like, we have a lot of high profile media partners, and getting them to sign on ahead of time that they're going to have an inclusive forum or an inclusive debate. And that just gives the entire, that gives all of Oakland the ability to access different perspectives and candidates. And the other value of that is we're having some really important conversations about Oakland in the course of these forums. And when you exclude different voices, it's almost like you're excluding our ability to use the special election to attack some of our biggest problems. So I think this is a big issue for this election, definitely. Although I do respect both of the front running candidates, it's frustrated to be left out of the discussion or the debate coming up, at 6 o'clock. I think they should have made an exception, at least for this election, with fundraising caps, because it's hard to manage all of this stuff with such limited time. So that's kind of my take on it.
Cool. Do you have if you were mayor, what would you do about it?
Yeah, I think I would set fundraising caps. I think I would want registered forums with the city, and that would attract more viewers and bigger audience if you pre-register, and the city can promote those too. And then I think I mentioned working with media partners and establishing ground rules early for all of our elections to ensure candidates all have an equal voice in the process. I think that would go a long way, because I noticed after the Oakland side debate, I got a lot of people reaching out to me and excited about me. So that seemed to be a really important forum. So I think partnering with other media portals, like KTVU or, really a lot of them, to make sure that Oaklanders have access to the candidates. Oaklanders,
or this one.
Yeah, or this one, right? Or you. Exactly, Zinni, what you're doing today, I think, is great too. So thank you.
Well, tackling that company, but anyway, go ahead. Thank you. Yeah, so Peter, you're up. How would you solve this problem?
Well, the money that goes into these politics, they're heavily funded by large people who have presence in the community already, and they're just using their money to bully others, essentially. So I've been canceled a lot of times from the media. They have a blacklist. I was a journalist, and they have a blacklist of people that they would put on especially people like me who were against the war and stuff. And whenever I send articles to these outlets, they would just outright reject them because I'm on the blacklist. So I know this because when I ran for governor, I put on my campaign song, and then after a day or so, it was banned on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm gonna go in to try.
So a lot of these, with a lot of these candidates here, if they don't like you, if you're at a different party, they would do things behind your back like this, and their machinery would cancel you out. So if I am mayor, the funding with a candidate, the limit should be about $10,000, and after that, they couldn't, have outside money interest, because with $10,000, you're effectively doing, with the same parallel as others. Setting like with $1 million spent on the last election in 2022 was ridiculous for a mayoral election. And some of these monies, like especially with how the Democrat nominee for the presidential, she was spending like $1 billion, and then after that she owed like 20 million, and a lot of these monies exchange hands, and some money is unaccounted for. So in a local race like this, 10,000 should be a sufficient amount, maximum limit. Like in other countries, they have elections like within 2 weeks, not elections like a whole 3 years while you're running as a candidate. So with the time frame that they spent, some elections would only last 2 weeks, and they would have the candidates give out their what their platform is, and then they immediately start to vote based on those platforms, and so that would lessen the amount of money that's exchanged hands, while giving the candidates ample time for so the focus is now on candidates, not instead of fundraising. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. So Mindy, you're next, and then Derek Sue. Mindy, you're up. Let me unmute you. Go ahead. Mindy, you're next.
Okay, I'm actually inside the venue right. Okay, can you hear me?
Loud
I'm
and
actually
clear.
inside the venue right now where the debate. Okay, I'm right where the debate is going to take place. I just walked inside,
Awesome.
and I'm going to get myself seated. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your solution, my friend, to this problem that we're facing of having just the two candidates? If you were mayor, how would you change the state of affairs? Or would you?
Well, first of all, I don't think debates could have fundraising limits on it. I think it's very disrespectful to the poor, the homeless, the working class, the disabled. Because, so as mayor, I would set up limits where every debate should be sponsored. There should be, every candidate should be invited to every debate. And I think that's the only fair way in our republic that we can have these debates. And as mayor, I would intervene to try to make sure that occurs. Because as we're seeing here, a $75,000 limit, minimum to have a debate. When you look at all the people who are sponsoring the candidates, it's not exactly representing the working poor or the middle class or the community or the people who they claim to be doing something for. And politics cannot be allowed to be run by money in the way that it has become, which is reprehensible to me. So as mayor, I would ensure debates which include every single candidate.
Thank you. Seneca, are you with us there? I see a black screen. I guess you're taking your setting up. So I'm calling your name, but I think you may be encumbered. So I will skip over you and text you. Meanwhile, the legendary Pastor Robinson. Pastor Robinson,
Hey.
what say you?
How are you doing? You know what? It's kind of unfair, but we can't pop up on people and start running when you're a new candidate. When it first gets in your brain, you got to start going out to the streets. You got to start going out to the liquor store. You got to start ahead of time. because you're not a part of the big machine. You know what I mean? You ain't part of the big machine. If you ain't a part of the big machine, then you're not gonna get nowhere. So I don't want to take a lot of your time, but you got to get ahead of time. And do I think it should be a cap? It probably should be a cap, but even if it ain't a cap, everybody should be divided to every debate.
So as mayor, basically, you'd say you'd make sure that everybody is invited to every debate.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say a cap. I wouldn't say a cap. I wouldn't say a cap because you can't do nothing with $10,000. You can't send out all the postcards to every house in Oakland with $10,000. So no,
Okay.
you can't do a cap.
All right. So here's the thing. Seneca is next. Seneca, you're up. Seneca? Hold on a second. Let me unmute him. Seneca? Seneca muted himself. Hey, Seneca? Hello? Seneca? Yeah, he took himself off. Okay. He told us to mute himself. Okay, that's fine. At any rate, that leaves Derek. Derek, what say you about this mess?
Oh, well, sorry about all the background mess. As you know, I'm homeless once again, but I would be looking at spending caps for any election, and it has to include all the candidates, whether they're controversial or not.
And what about the spending caps? What about the spending caps?
Say that again. I had a BART train running by here.
Oh, I said, what about the spending cap issue?
The spending cap, I would put a limit on there. You know, the spending cap, 100,000. Because this is only a city mayor. We don't need to go into $250,000 expenditures. 100,000 is even a lot of money to spend on a campaign.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to open this up now. I'm going to open up. I'm going to stop talking like Danny Duck. But I'm going to say this. That's punishment. Okay. So all right. Here is my question to the panel. Whoever wants to respond first is fine. We'll go from there. Someone on Nextdoor posted that because Barbara Lee and Loren Taylor raised $600,000 total, they are the most viable candidates. I, in my video, struck back and said that's not true because the most viable candidate isn't necessarily one that wins the most money or earns the most money. All right. And why did we get to this point where people are in a sense bullied? I think your words, Peter, bullied to think, hey, look, they've got a lot of money and therefore they should go first, or they're the best candidate to run for mayor. I contend that people who say that don't even know what it means to operate the mayor's office, let alone anything else. That I'll put that out there. What do you think? Who wants to go first? Oh, I'll call on somebody. Derek,
Let me tell you. Okay, Fabian.
Okay, I'll go first. Since I had been a commander of a very large agency for the United States government here in counterterrorism. And so it is a lot of personnel that goes into making sure I know what I'm doing in my job. So having people in key places is important. I just don't see the experience with Loren Taylor. And so I'm having issues with siding with Loren Taylor, also Barbara Lee. Today I was looking at something online that said that Barbara Lee brought all this money to the city of Oakland for the different agencies. And so I was questioning that even because I looked up her voting record and her 30-year career, and I see her as a legislator more so than an executive thinker. And so that by itself creates problems because she doesn't have the actual executive leadership experience. If you compare her experience to the experience that I had in counterterrorism, yes, it's a world of difference. But the difference is that my work is more related to the mayor's office than her work, which is legislating. Whereas I was actually a field person who was part of law enforcement. So there's a big difference. And I don't see the experience on either of those two. So I would want to look at other candidates besides them. And if we're limited to only those two candidates, we're keeping Oakland, poor and broke.
Suzanne. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing myself. So can everyone mute? I think if everyone mutes and then one person speaks, it fixes it. Yeah. So, well, I think we're talking specifically about campaign financing, and we're talking specifically about an article where one candidate was able, or two candidates raised $600,000. So look, I mentioned this before, when you have a special election and you submit your paperwork on January 17th, it's like the election goes, you don't have a lot of time. So what we're seeing in this race are two established candidates, well established, with teams, staff teams, fundraising teams. And when you are stepping in the ring and you haven't got your team together yet, it takes time to do that. So with a special election, it's hard to meet those fundraising thresholds, because you also have to set up your website. And so there's a lot of pieces that have to be put into place. So it's kind of a different situation, I think, than a normal cycle. And I think that's really what we're dealing with here. And I think, to me personally, when we look at the issue of campaign financing, like, our democracy is kind of being threatened right now, and it's being threatened by big money and a lot of different factions, these advertising PACs that have unlimited dollar amounts.
And a guy with orange hair.
While candidates have thresholds, some of these PACs have unlimited money. So, it's kind of like an issue, right? It's good that we're talking about it today, because it's an ongoing issue. We were talking about it with the national elections. I'm sure we'll be talking about it again with other election cycles. I don't necessarily blame the candidates. I think they're just doing what they do. I think we're talking about structural issues, and we're talking about our city specifically, which our city is really working hard to defend our democracy. And we're also coming off on the backs of a mayor, we're coming off on the backs of some corruption issues that may allegedly exist. So to me, a lot of the money that candidates spend is for exposure. It's to reach voters. And so that's why I'm saying, if we as a city partner with these bigger media outlets and pre-schedule events that give Oaklanders the ability to see the candidates, right? I mean, that's what everyone wants. And so if we start to shut down different voices, which is something that's come up in this special election, where people are not including candidates, and it seems a little bit rigged behind the scenes sometimes, not all the time. There have been some great portals. The Oakland side debate was fantastic. There's the League of Women Voters. There's a lot of different forums that are, everyone's different. But I think that, if we have a standard as a city, that we align around what the standard is for these forums, especially during special elections. And I think if we have some big citywide events that the city puts together with our media partners, that actually might solve the problem of these little forums, because that's going to be what most of the people watch, are these bigger media portals. So if we were to say schedule 4 events with 4 different media partners throughout the election, I think that's a really big piece of it, right? So the people of Oakland have a chance to hear from the candidates and make decisions, so that we're not just, it's not just, a thing where it's like nobody knows who you are because there was no time to establish that in the election.
Hey, Suz, I have a question though, and I'm gonna, since we're in an era where there are YouTubers, like I have 51,000 subscribers, and there may be only a handful of media organizations that have anything bigger than I do, and I'm not big. there are influencers that have millions of YouTube subscribers and they have a lot of followers on different social media. Why should it be left to traditional media, which is dying anyway? Why not just open it up to the creators to help spread that message?
It's a fair point, Zenny. I think I love that idea, So a registration process that includes, all media providers or portals, forum portals, right? I mean, look, outside of this election as a voter, I love having access to that, right? And I love being able to be in my living room and have access to information that helps me make decisions. So I'm in favor of inclusion. I think it's in the spirit of Oakland. I love that about this city. I think we actually do have new campaign financing offerings for lower income. So I really like that about Oakland. I think we're working hard to fight for our democracy here. It's tough though, because every time, like I said earlier, like every time you create something you think is going to like really uphold our democracy, then one of these big entities figures out a workaround, So we're constantly having to try to figure out how to protect and defend our democracy. I think that's what it comes down to.
Now, what say you, Pastor? Because, Pastor, I'm going to take a bone with you. You made it sound like it was okay to have two, and I love your brother, but I'm like, wait a minute. I don't agree with that. And, but what say you about this whole idea of, well, you know what? It's only, because you actually said it. You basically said, hey, it's the two, and you got to be a big boy. I think of myself as not, well, a big man, all right? It's okay. So I think everybody here is big in stature. Okay. So why should I want that when in our history, and I go back to 1974 in Oakland, we had classes where all the candidates could actually learn how to campaign. Did anyone ever talk to you all about that?
Me? No. Me, I came in not knowing anything.
Anybody else? Peter, did they talk to you all about that? About having a class? No classes. Wow. See, that's a big change. We used to have public funding for each of your campaigns in Oakland, and we had classes. We would teach you how to campaign. So why not go back to that?
Well, let me tell you, Jenny, one thing about it. When you run your first election, you're going to lose. My buddy George Cross said,
no, I don't believe that. Wait a minute.
When you run your first campaign, you're going to lose.
Wait, so what if you win, though?
Because Zenny, 9 times out of 10, like my buddy George Cross he say that they always tell him, you got to run free to win one.
Well, but there is such a thing as a designated survivor for a reason. You want to know why, right? It's the possibility that could happen. So, but my point is that partial jocular humor aside, I'm concerned, Peter, that we're giving in and we're saying, hey, look, it's okay and there's nothing that can be done. That's what I hear overall. Am I wrong? Peter? I feel like I'm in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Peter?
Well, my platform CESV5 is spreading. What, Jay? You want to say something? No. My son here, my daughter here, is watching me. So,
hey, straight out your dad.
yeah. When we're talking about money in politics, most of that is for corruption. Because if you're gonna pay 10,000, 20-some thousand to a candidate, you're gonna expect something back, right? So this is gonna be a shady deals going on. And if that's why there's very low trust on these candidates who does all these fundraising while they have these high donors. And I don't get any of that because I don't believe in your integrity. If you accept a large amount of money from somebody, of course you're gonna have to do a favor back to them. And Oakland's been like that for I don't know, so many years, right? So, and with the last mayor, and got caught up, especially with that contract for city garbage recycling, and so with my method CSP5, I teach my followers how to make millions of dollars, and That's why that would eliminate their need for fundraising. I mean, I could just put $1 million.
Wait. You're saying stop. You're
Mhm.
saying that you're gonna make Suz a millionaire. You're gonna make Derek a millionaire, right?
They can, yeah.
Right now. I want you to make that pledge right here on my show.
You're bald.
Yeah, if they follow my CESP5 method in 2 years, right? They organize these games in which they have participant come and they pay $200 each to.
Well, I distinctly heard you say overnight, though. I thought I heard. Didn't I hear? Ask your son. Hey, didn't your pop say overnight?
What?
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah.
He said he loves your bald head.
Hey, it's not the first time I've heard that. Thank you, pal. Hey, so here's the thing, all right? But it does open up a point, and we have a problem with money. So why don't we just go back to the system that we had? We had public funding.
All my campaign's been self-funded, and I never.
Know yours, but Peter, I want others to. Pastor. What do you think? Why don't we go back to the system where the city gave you money to run?
I think we still have public funding.
I say, go ahead, Susan. Go ahead. Susan.
I think we still have public funding for people who need that. For people that are underserved or they need support. I believe they launched a campaign funding program, right?
Not for city council at large or mayor. It's for the districts.
Oh, okay.
That's good information. So, hey, Pete, so we should open it up then. What do you think, Fabian and Suz, huh? We should open it up.
I figure, guess what I figure? I figure that what we got to do, you got to campaign early. Get out there. Now everybody will know Susan. Just like everybody know Peter. Once you get out there, everybody going to know who you is. You're going to be walking down the street and people going to be saying hi. You're going to be almost like a celebrity. You got to build up on being that celebrity. Mm-hmm. And people need money because you don't want to get somebody in there who's want to do their own thing. There'll be a Donald Trump without no donors. So you probably do need some donors.
Well, actually, Donald Trump didn't have donors, but that's it's so.
No, I'm just saying, but he had a bunch of billionaire friends. He had a whole lot of donors. A whole lot of people was put into the Republican campaign for Donald Trump. And I'm saying, if you don't have people that is financing you or tell you what to do, you can go off and do whatever you want to do.
Interesting. What do you think, Derek?
Well, he's absolutely right, because when I was organizing my campaign for this run for the special election, I had hired on a special person for my fundraising. And so I had a fundraiser, and I was learning a lot from this individual. And if I had stayed in the race, meeting the 75,000 minimum, to be in the media was not a problem. But it does take somebody to help you. You cannot do this by yourself. And so the Public Ethics Commission, they need to really look at leveling the playing field for everybody, even the big players. They have caps. The smaller players, they have funds that come from the public chest, and that helps keep the playing field more level, much more level than it is right now. Because in my first run back in 2022, I couldn't get any media people to even look at me or talk to me.
That's right.
Up until I was eliminated. When I was eliminated, that was when all of a sudden the media paid attention to me. Up until then, they were talking to all the front runners. The front runner was Sheng Tao. The other front runner was Loren Taylor. For myself, I couldn't buy airtime. And so that was, we need to level the playing field, give less time to the front runners and give more time to everybody else.
And I want to say that's why now, I believe 3 years ago, I opened up and invited Derek to be a vlogger on Zenny 62. And Suz, I extend the same invitation to you and anybody else that wants to come on, Pastor as well. Tell your own story in your own time. You don't have to wait for the K's of the world to contact you, and then you can give them your clip. This
But
code
Zanny,
might, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
he
sir.
was 100% right, because the media, when I was going against Pamela Price, I was the media darling. Oh, they call me all the time. Hey, come here, let's talk to you. But once I started running an election and they had their favorites, they never talked to me, never came to see me, or never
But see,
said
Pastor,
anything.
right, Pastor, that's what I'm getting at here. Okay, that's why I mentioned YouTube critics, because it really kills me that in this environment, you don't have folks saying, "Hey, look, follow me. You're going out, and you can buy followers, by the way." Okay, I'm laying it to you bare and blunt. Don't believe the subscriber numbers. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, mine came from way back when, but of my 51,000, 4,000 I bought in 2009. Why? Because I thought that I was being held up by somebody at YouTube, and I wanted to counter it. And what I realized, and that's the one time that I did it, because I was always focused on search engine placement more than views or anything else. I don't want to get too, dump in the weeds. But my point is this. There are people, like the NFL brought in a bunch of YouTubers thinking, oh, we're going to get a lot out of them. Those YouTubers had fake followers to the millions. But my point is, if you have that out there, most people don't even know the difference, and you can override the media. You're waiting on them to call you, but this is the year of, you can do that. Why not just do that?
That makes sense.
Look, I just want to again underscore the difference between this special election. I filed my papers January 17th. It's March 11th. We're talking about a month and a half. Okay. And we've got candidates that have raised $600,000. So, this is a thing I think that we're talking about, so, but outside of this special election, I want to say that I do think that our democracy is at threat. And I do think that we need to have these kinds of conversations outside of this one election, because it is something that I'm concerned about. And I know a lot of other Americans are concerned about this. And I think in general, also, we're seeing it's harder and harder to engage the public around politics. There's more and more problems in politics with data being bought and sold, and the manipulations of like buying people's data from what they do online. And it's causing people to be distrust politics a lot. So I think that's a part of why our democracy is at threat, because there's so much manipulations with these bigger consulting firms with our personal data. And then also people don't trust the system anymore. They don't trust our government anymore. And
Right.
I think that the defense of our democracy is to get a healthy government. Like, number one, we need to get a healthy government that's results driven, that's modern, that lives in the 21st century. And that government needs to build trust with people. And that includes eradicating the things that have caused the distrust, right? That includes that. And I think with a city like ours, again, I love Oakland. I love the spirit of this city. I think people are all in on fighting for freedom here, fighting for our democracy. And I think that we need to make the elections a thing here, right? I mean, not just this election, but I think in general, in order to draw in young people, in order to build some excitement in the city around the elections, I think we need to make it more of a thing here and get people back engaged. Because, a lot of times people also don't show up to engage with government until there's a crisis or a problem. And so how do we get people more interested in being a part of our democracy? And that, again, comes down to addressing why they're not interested, right? You have to follow the problem and identify the reasons they're disinterested in order to solve that too. So that's just my 2 cents.
Folks, one moment, Pastor, one moment, real quick. Folks, what I've done is, for those who want to stick around and watch the debate, it is actually here. Ta-da! So you'll be able to watch it with me and make commentary if you wish, and we can, keep the party going. But there's your option. Not pretty cool, huh? So yeah. See, I'm always a pastor. You were going to say something.
Before, because I got to do my church thing in a little bit. But
yes,
before I go, I want to make 2 endorsements. I do.
Sir.
I want to 3. First, I want to endorse Charlene Wong for District 2. Anybody who's listening, vote for Charlene Wong. Okay, and then I want to endorse One or two, whoever you want.
I second that.
Robinson, and Barbara Lee.
There you go.
That's what I'm going for.
There you go.
Robinson and Barbara Lee. But I gotta get out of here. Robinson and Barbara Lee. And I'll be telling everybody, vote Robinson and Barbara Lee.
There you go.
All right, man. God bless.
God bless you too, sir.
All right. God bless y'all. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. That was outstanding. So, what are you all looking forward to? Since we're about now, let me actually pull this out here. Yeah, we are 6 minutes from this thing, and there's 62 waiting there. We have 13 on here, so we're not too far behind, you know. And they're on YouTube for a change. Interestingly, what are you all looking forward to from this? Being nauseated?
I mean, I'll just speak, you know, I think that having been to a few forums at this point with both Loren and Congresswoman Lee, I really respect them. You know what I mean? And I like the whole spirit of like, hey, you know, we respect each other as people. We have different perspectives on the solutions for the city. But the conversations have been very good, and I appreciate being able to weigh in on what our city is facing. And I guess I've just enjoyed being part of a forum where we're not attacking each other, you know, and we're kind of like, I don't agree with everything either, you know, sometimes with these candidates, but I do agree with some of the things they say too.
There you go. Derek, Derek or Peter, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are what are they going to do about the homeless situation? Because right now the homeless situation is getting worse. It's grown since the last pit count, and what they've been using right now, which is third-party intervention agencies, you know, it's not working, and we're spending millions funding those agencies. They're getting rich and fat, but the homeless situation is not getting any better here in Oakland. I've been a part of a group that tries to advise the mayor's office on the homeless situation and solutions. But the previous administration, the Tao administration, refused to meet with us at all. We sent email after email and got no response. We have solutions, and solutions that are viable, that can move forward. Because we have the community land trusts already. And so these are answers that I'm looking for from the candidates, if they're willing to look at other models that are successful for the homeless. That is the first step in reducing our crime, by getting our homeless housed, by getting them into a situation where they're permanently housed. They're not being swept week after week like what's happening here in the city of Oakland. And each one of those sweeps that they conduct, the Oakland Police Department, it costs $1,500 just for the police. We're not even talking DPW workers, the equipment, and the dumping. And so a typical sweep, a one-day sweep, could easily cost the city $12,000 to $15,000, and they do this 5 days a week right now because they've cut back on personnel. And I've talked to the DPW workers; they're forced to work 14-hour days currently, Monday through Friday, and then there's also a weekend crew. So these are expenditures that are part of the budgetary problems that exist here in Oakland that we need to deal with. And so I want to see what they're going to say about the homeless situation, which goes hand in hand with the trash and the illegal dumping, and also the crime. And so this is something that needs to be heavily addressed with housing first.
Now, they just are a few minutes away. And so what I did was just now I wrote on the KTVU site that, hey, we see you here. And I put the link so they can join us. Hey, you got to grow this thing. You know what I mean? The more I look at what I'm seeing here, the more uncomfortable I get. I just really believe that Suzanne should be there, that Peter should be there, that Derek should be there, and everybody else. And it's really too bad that this is going on the way that it's going on. But so be it. So be it. It feels more like groupthink. And there are a lot of problems that, like, I'll bet you they never even mention, because neither one of them know anything about tax increment financing. And now, I'll bet you they don't even mention it. Suz, what do you think? Oh, I think Sue's after doing her thing. I'll bet you they don't even mention it.
I seriously doubt that they're going to talk about any solutions, and especially TIF, tax increment financing. They definitely don't know anything about that, either of the candidates. So I don't expect to hear any real solutions for a city of Oakland.
And that's what I'm saying. Though that's the tool that we used. Okay, there we are. That's the full screen. Folks, if you are watching this and you want to be part of our live stream and on camera, there's the StreamYard code right there. Here it is, right here, and you can chime in and listen. I'm going to see if the audio for this is up, and let's see here. I know I don't want the music. They've got something going. So I'm going to keep theirs on mute, and I'm going to change our volume settings a little bit because I have to put this on, or turn echo cancellation off so that we can hear them. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to hear them. So that's off. All right. And let's see here. I think we'll be able to hear them soon once I put that up. And let's see if we can,
segment that runs that you will not be able to see. So we'll just stay quiet here for a little bit. And then when we go on air, Malcolm Goodwin with Black Action Alliance will take the mic and we'll start the show, so to speak. So there'll be a little bit of a pause. Malcolm Goodwin with Black Action Alliance will take the mic and we'll start this side.
We got it. Cool.
You see me, huh? I see you, bro.
Oh, no music. Okay, kill that one. Oh boy. Why they do that, I don't know. But that's like a copyright claim. I don't want to deal with that one. So cut it off. No way. And the reason why is that that music may be something that it might be royalty free, but I don't take those chances. So, they may have the right to use it, but that doesn't mean I have it. So there you go. Yeah, that goes Mr. Dugar walking by with the beard. Who else is in there? Can't see. Oakland Mayoral Debate. So, too bad they don't pan around. But that's what you get when the camera doesn't. Okay, hold on. I think they're starting. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. No. Wait a minute. Nope. Still got the music going. All right. And still waiting. All right, now they are okay. That's right, because KTVU's got to make a little money. Now, is this on air or is this on their own live stream? Does anyone know?
Earlier they were KTVU was saying that they're going to be live broadcasting it on KTVU.
Oh, okay. Oops, no. Still got the music. All right. Figure a couple bars won't hurt me. Still waiting. Oh, wow. Waiting for the unmute. Okay. It doesn't look like it's standing room only. It looks like it's, well, it looks like it, brother, it does look like it's standing room only, but it doesn't look like they're allowing standing. Well, actually, I see a couple people off to the side. That must be media members or something. All right, let's see here. Nope. Okay, still don't. Here we go.
Front, they need to
Nope. He's talking to the mic, but all right. Nope. We're waiting for quite a while. They must have a long commercial going. Wow. Heh. Hey, welcome everybody. Oh, so just turn that off. That's interesting. It went black, folks. It went black. It went black. Aha. Oh, I see. They're showing their promo or whatever they're doing. Yeah. We got their promo going. Let's see. Okay, now we're starting.
Clean, economically vibrant city.
People know what they want and what they need, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I want to try to help make that happen.
A city in transition, looking to turn the page after the recall of its last mayor, who's now facing federal corruption charges. Candidates putting forth plans for Oakland's pressing issues, public safety, homelessness, and a budget crisis.
Make sure that their jobs are secure, but also make sure that we have a budget that is going to reflect a budget that is based on values.
We need to keep businesses here, keep residents here, give them opportunities to grow.
Tonight, the top two candidates leading a crowded field in fundraising meet on the debate stage. Loren Taylor, a former city council member, positioning himself as a political outsider.
We need someone who knows the city, has been on the ground, and not in Washington, D.C. for the past 27 years.
He'll face former Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who just closed out 26 years representing the East Bay in the House.
Oakland also needs experience. It needs someone who can bring people together and who knows where the levers of power and funding are.
The countdown to the April 15th special election is on.
I love campaigns, and I'm going to fight hard in this campaign because I want to win.
I know I have the skills, the knowledge, and experiences to actually make a difference and move us in a better direction.
KTVU presents the Oakland Mayoral Debate.
You decide. No, they decide.
Hey everyone, I'm Gagan Biani with Empower Oakland. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is so exciting. Empower Oakland is a volunteer-led political organization. Our goal is to increase access to information about candidates, and that's why we're helping put on this debate. This debate is an opportunity for us to hear directly from the top two candidates.
So is 62 Media.
And we're lucky to partner with Black Action Alliance on this, and so I'll let Malcolm do the rest of the introductions. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Malcolm Goodwin, and I'm with Black Action Alliance and also the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area. Tonight's debate is an important opportunity to hear directly from the candidates who seek to lead our city. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to introduce Black Action Alliance because some of you are not familiar with our organization, as noticed by all the online content. So we were founded in 2025. BAA is a policy advocacy group dedicated to advancing Black lives in the East Bay. We're Oakland residents, we're parents, we're business leaders, public servants, and community volunteers committed to building a safer and more prosperous and more equitable city. Our policies focus on safer communities, economic development, homelessness solutions, stronger public schools, and affordable housing. Now, I want to say this event would not be possible if it weren't for our incredible partners, the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area, the Coalition of 100 Black Women, Black Women Organized for Political Action, the NAACP, Oakland Branch, and Brotherhood of Elders Network. And a very special thanks to KTVU for hosting this debate with us tonight. Now it's my pleasure to turn things over to our moderator, Dave Clark. Dave, take it away.
First of all, good evening to you who are here tonight. You are the best looking group I've been around all day. It is a pleasure to see you. It is a pleasure to see our candidates here tonight. I want to acknowledge the organizers who really did a great job putting this together. Would you give them a round of applause? This is a lot to do. But they did a great job organizing this. I also want to thank the candidates, you two being here, Barbara Lee and Loren Taylor. I thank you for being here. It's good to see you. The live audience that is here, would you give yourself a round of applause? And you're allowed to do that too. We are in the space called Town Fair in downtown Oakland. And Michelle McQueen, who runs this spot, thank you for what you've done. And I have to say a special thank you to KTVU Fox 2, my station, my colleagues from Mornings on 2. They are there. All of our colleagues are there. We're glad to be a part of this. The broadcasting, the live streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, and other platforms. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. Now, there are just a couple of things I want to say real quick. There are some rules for this debate, conversation. A couple of rules. The questions from the audience, they were pre-submitted before this event. I want to make that clear. They were pre-submitted. Some were submitted online, and they were pre-screened by the organizers. So I won't be Oprah walking through saying, and caller, you say, no. I'm not going to do that, but I'm thinking of you. Okay? We have opening statements. Our speakers will have 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, to let you know about themselves in their own words. 5 minutes. No interruptions. No interruptions. We're going to be fair. We're going to be professional. That's how we do it here. That's how we do it. Fairness is going to be enforced. The speakers will stick to the allotted time, and there'll be a warning when we're down to like 30 seconds for you to wrap up. And I think that's very easy to follow. Our first round of questions. We're going to talk about some of the key issues, but we're going to talk about many other things. We have the time to do it. First, the first opening statement will go to Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee, a well-known former Congresswoman, legislator, an incredible lady. And there are many stories that you can tell about her. Barbara Lee will speak first, followed by Loren Taylor, a former city council member. And I didn't know you had such an incredible biomedical background. Incredible. It's good to see you. It's good to see you both. And I thank you for making time for being here. Would you give them one more round of applause? There are some heavy issues to talk about. We all know what Oakland is dealing with right now, but I wanted to start off with something light. And I want to ask you, and Loren, I'm going to start with you. With all the, is that mic working for you? There it is. This is one of those softball questions, but what do you like about Oakland? People can talk all day about the difficulties and all that, but what do you like about Oakland?
Look, hands down, it's got to be the people. We have amazing people here who show up for each other day in, day out, regardless of the circumstance, the situation, and that is what I get most excited about when I think of the town.
Okay. And Barbara.
Of course, it's the people, but it's the diversity of the people, and it's the vibrancy of the people, and it's the vision of the people, it's the excitement of the people, and it's the unity of the people.
Okay. Now, this session tonight is going to talk about some really tough issues, some specifics, but I want people to be able to get to know you. They've seen you for years. They've never been close to you. They want to talk about you both. And we have 2 minutes. We're going to start talking about the budget of the city of Oakland. The budget deficit. Pardon me? You're right. I told you we brought the best people in here. Thank you. Yeah, you know I didn't do that on purpose, right? Our opening statements beginning with Barbara Lee.
Well, first, thank you, Dave, very much. I thank KTVU. I want to thank the event sponsors, organizers, all of you, of course, Town Fair, our museum. Just thank you for bringing us together tonight to have this debate. It's important that voters make informed decisions about who they want to lead their city. So thank you very much. Now, Oakland, a little bit about me, it gave me the heart and the courage, really, for my life's journey. As a single mom, as a student at Mills College, as a community worker with the Black Panther Party, as a legislative staff member, and yes, as a business owner. And so I know, though, the city that I love, like we all love, it's in crisis. And I also know that this moment demands leadership, and it demands the ability to bring different sectors of our community together to get the job done, to help solve this crisis. That's what this city needs, And so it also reminds me of why I am doing this. As I talk to people throughout the city, at house parties, at neighborhood coffees, I heard the same things from people each and every place I go. Of course, we want to feel safe. Every community wants to feel safe. We're concerned about housing and our unsheltered population and blight. Every community wants that and deserves to know what their next mayor will do. And we want clean streets. Now, as your Congresswoman, I hope I've delivered on my promise to deliver billions of dollars for our city. And now, if I am so fortunate for you to elect me as mayor, I'll use that same grit, and that's what it takes, and determination and persistence. Yes, that's what it takes to actually address the priorities of this city, but also to use the leverage and the influence that I have. And after 27 years in Congress, focused on Oakland, the world, the country knows who Oakland is and what Oakland needs. And I want to be able to use that to help with economic development, to create good paying jobs, and to make sure that all of our neighborhoods not only survive, but thrive. I hope you'll join me with that effort. Thank you again, and thank you, Dave, very much.
Loren?
Testing. All right. Definitely want to begin with a thank you to the hosts. Thank you to Chef Michelle for opening up your establishment. And thank you to everybody who came out. My name is Loren Taylor. I am an engineer, former council member, and I am running for mayor. I'm also a father raising fourth generation Oaklanders here with my wife, Erica, Dr. Erica Taylor, who's right here with me. We will be celebrating 19 years of marriage on April 8th, 1 week before Election Day. Erica and I, we chose to raise our children here in Oakland because we love this town. And if you are sitting here in this audience, if you are online watching on Zoom or streaming, you likely love this town as well because you took the time to engage. We care deeply about Oakland's future, And we have to be honest with ourselves. Oakland is broken. We have a lot of things that need to be fixed and need to be fixed immediately. If we don't respond with urgency, we could lose more residents, lose more businesses, lose more revenues, driving us closer to bankruptcy, and we could ultimately lose the most important thing, which is our ability to control our own destiny. The urgency is now. Oakland is failing its residents. Residents like Tom, a business owner in West Oakland, whose multi-million-dollar business is growing. He had the opportunity to expand right here in Oakland, but because of the crime, because of the homelessness, he took those jobs, established a second footprint in a business-friendly Southern California city instead. That's dollars, that's jobs, that's investment that could and should have been made right here in Oakland. Also, residents like Tony. She is living in Maxwell Park. One afternoon, she heard a loud pop, ran outside to figure out what was going on. Her neighbor, Dave, had been shot while gardening. He bled out in her arms while other neighbors were on the phone with 911, and his now widow was watching in grief. His case still remains unsolved. And also, neighbors like Marvin. Marvin, he's a mentor of mine when I was growing up. He has dedicated his life to supporting young Black men as they come of age, giving them mentorship, other support. He was sitting in his car doing paperwork when he was carjacked, pistol whipped, ended up going to the hospital. And when I spoke to him about this incident, he cared just as much about the lives and the future of those young men who victimized him as he did his own well-being. Our city is failing. We have failed Tom, Tony, and Marvin. Business as usual politics will not work. It will continue to fail us. We have to do something different. We need a new approach and we need new leadership. We need leadership that has been on the ground for decades, working with community, addressing our toughest challenges. Leadership that has brought officers on the ground like I did in District 6, 48 additional officers, where in District 6 we actually saw during my tenure a reduction in violent crime by 8% when the rest of the city saw an increase. We need leaders with experience working with affordable housing developers, community, the city staff, bringing more housing like I did in District 6. We added more than 800 units of affordable housing to the development pipeline. And yes, we need new leadership that recognizes it is unacceptable for us to have parents walking their children through homeless encampments on their way to school. As a father, I do not stand for that. That is why I brought forward the encampment management policy when I was on the council to ensure health, safety, and dignity in and around encampments.
No timekeeper?
I mention these because it takes real understanding, experience, and depth of understanding this city in order to move forward addressing our toughest challenges.
I know. And I have to stop you there.
Was that 5?
You hit 5.
That 5 minutes went fast.
Yeah.
He was good, though. I'll give it to him.
Ms. Lee, is there anything you want to add or respond to on that?
Well, in terms of just the leadership failure in this city, I know for a fact that it requires collaboration and cooperation. And I'm very proud of the fact that 7 former mayors, city administrators, virtually all of our city council members, and many neighborhood organizations have endorsed Barbara Lee for mayor because it takes bringing people together to get the job done. We have got to stop this division in this city. Mm-hmm. And that has taken place over the last many, many years. And so I just wanted to respond to that by saying we don't have time to make up with people to get the job done. It's time that we solve our problems together. And it's time that we come together and work together instead of going our own ways, because we need leadership in this city. We need people to stop the talking and do the work. And I'm prepared to do the work.
Barbara, thank you. Loren, thank you. We have to talk about the budget deficit in Oakland. It's scary. The deficit estimated at $129 million this year and $280 million over the next 2 years. How do you fix that?
Piece of cake.
Loren, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Dave. First of all, we have to understand that we did not get to this budget deficit overnight. It was a series of decisions that were made, decisions that were influenced in the process. The root cause of our financial struggles, corruption, mismanagement, self-dealing, not centering Oaklanders at the center of decisions that are being made. We have kicked the can down the road so long that there is no road left to kick it down. What we have to do is make hard choices. It's one thing to have unity and bring people together. Every mayor will be able to do that, bring people in the room. That is a given. The question is what happens inside of that room. Will you be able to look your friends and your allies, others in the eye and say, that's a great idea. We do not have the resources for that. We have to make hard, necessary choices today so that we can preserve our tomorrow. To address the budget, we number one have to have a audit, outside audit that gives us confidence of what's happening and what's not. We have been gaslit for too long in this city around our budget. Number two, we have to look at the larger costs in our budget. We have a significant pension obligation. We're paying more than $130 million in interest each year on our pension debt. We have to restructure that. We're paying at a 7% interest. If we take that down to a 5% interest rate, we can save more than $20 million that we free up for our city. We also have to bring all of our stakeholders to the table, everyone who benefits, our vendors, our contractors, our labor partners, everyone to be a part of the solution to get us through this difficult time so that when we rise on the other side with more revenue, more opportunity, we all benefit. We have to increase efficiencies, focus on those gaps where we are wasting redundant effort and not having our eyes on the ball. And at the same time, we have to recognize that where we're reducing costs, we can't cut our way out of this. We have to grow revenues, investing in those revenue generating opportunities, our businesses, addressing public safety. And I know we're going to get to that is core because we're not going to attract business and investment if we're not safe. It looks like you're trying to pull my time.
Stop you there.
Thank you.
We do have flexibilities. We do have flexibilities, but occasionally I may just have to stop you. Barbara Lee.
Thanks very much. Yes, in order to come out of this hole that we're in, we have to raise revenue and, of course, cut expenditures. But we also need not just an audit, we need a forensic audit. We need an audit that's going to tell the taxpayers in this city where the waste, fraud, and abuse is in our city. And I know for a fact that there are those avenues to look at how we come back and put those revenues in the budget once we know where it is. Secondly, it's structural in many ways. We have to remember a couple of things. And I brought in millions of dollars, yes, during COVID to save lives and livelihoods. But this structural balancing act is unfortunate because the budget is still developed based on the infusion of federal funds. And that was a mistake. And we need to capture what took place as a result of that budgeting. Next, we need to raise revenue, and I do support the sales tax. initiative that's going to be on the ballot April 15th. That's not going to solve our problem, but we have to have a balanced approach. That will bring in between $20 to $30 million, raising revenue. During and after COVID, the city failed to raise and collect revenues, code enforcement, fines, business taxes, parking tickets, for example. You name it. Revenue has got to be collected. Even revenue from encampment code enforcement. I think only maybe 11% of that revenue has been brought into the city. And so we have to have a balanced approach. For me, everything is on the table. Cutting jobs, of course, would be the last action I would undertake, because jobs means services to the city. The city needs good quality services for its residents. And so jobs and people who are employed by the city must do that. But we also have to have efficiencies in these departments, and where there's fluff and where there's waste, we need to capture that, and we need to make sure that we reinvest that in our budget. And so we must engage in outside investment. I want to use my leverage to bring businesses into Oakland, philanthropy into Oakland, so that we can increase our revenue and have Oakland open again. And of course, that means we have to address the public safety issues.
Barbara, let me just thank you. Thank you. Just to pick up on what you said about efficiencies, do you know of a city department that is an efficient department compared to one that is not efficient that you would deal with?
No, I think what I know about this city is the lack of direction, accountability, transparency. Residents go to one city department and then they're referred to another, then another, then another. Oftentimes people don't know who's responsible for what. And so I believe that we need to make sure that employees know the lines of authority and are accountable for their work product. And so I have no distinction in terms of which departments function better than the other, but I do know structurally we need a reset here in Oakland, and we need employees to feel good about their jobs, but we also need accountability and benchmarks and goals and insurances that people will do their job the best in the best environment that they can do their job.
Loren, I'll pose the same question to you.
Repeating it,
Do you know of a particular city department that is an efficient department and one that's not?
Yeah, so we've got pockets of brilliance across our city. But what we struggle with is capturing data, understanding, measuring our performance and our progress, and being able to then hold folks accountable as a result. That's one of the reasons that when I first came onto the council, one of my first pieces of legislation was to urge the city administrator to implement department-level performance management. I have asked questions, tough questions, and the answer that comes back is, oh, we don't have that data. We don't have that information. Look, if people can control airplanes all around the world from their phone, we should be able to know how many bags of trash we have picked up in a given week. So we have to be better. We have to be better with our data. If you don't measure it, you're not going to be able to deliver it. And so what I'm focused on as mayor is making sure that we have systems change, putting the tools and the infrastructure in place to make sure that our city operates more effectively. And when every department has its stated goals, milestones to achieving those goals, we will have, under my leadership, performance dashboards published on at least a quarterly basis so that you can hold me accountable as well as the rest of the departments. That's what it's going to take to make sure we make measurable progress as a city. Thank you.
Thank you both. I'm just going to veer off in another direction, come back to this later, but there's something that needles me, hurts me. As a newscaster on TV every day, I hate it when I see sideshows, when I see smash and grabs, when I see people who are carjacked, shootings on the freeway, all of that. I hate it. And I hate it when the perpetrators look like me, but I know it's not just people who look like me, but it's, how does it make you feel, and what do you think you can do about it, Barbara?
Yeah, I hate it also. I'm a resident here in Hampton. Actually, my granddaughter had to hit the ground one day when she was visiting one of her friends because a young man was killed right outside of the house where she was. So we all hate it. And we've got to do something about it. Just this morning, 3 Chevron gas stations were robbed, and the crashes, the crash and grabs, the violence, and some of these crimes that are nonviolent are still, they create a sense of fear in the city, and they make sure that, and it makes certain that people won't come to the city, this sense of fear. And so what do we do about it? I believe we need to look at, and yes, I believe that we need to look at the policing here in Oakland and understand that these chases that cannot occur, maybe that policy needs to be revised. There may be, because we know that people do get killed and hurt behind police chase. And so I'm not saying get rid of it, but I think that we need to come up with a framework that allows for those who are coming into Oakland to know that there's a consequence for doing what they're doing. And that's extremely important. Gun violence. We know where the gun violence is occurring. We've got to get the guns off the streets of Oakland. Gun buybacks, working with our violence interrupters. I've been able to fund a variety of organizations. Ceasefire, integrated with the police department. We need more crime prevention efforts taking place here in Oakland. And as mayor, I would work hard to make sure we increase the budget for crime prevention, getting guns off the street, engage in more gun buybacks, and find these alternatives for our young people, because that is extremely important. Too many young people have nothing to do, and that should be part of an overall public safety strategy, which Measure NN laid out, which the voters voted for in November.
Barbara, thank you. Loren?
Absolutely. No one should be walking around our city afraid that they will be the next crime victim. Unfortunately, that is the case for too many of us. When I speak about public safety, it's not just from personal experience as a resident, as a father, it's also as a council member wrestling with these difficult issues of public safety in our community.
So what did you do?
While a council member, we had the aftermath of George Floyd, where we had a social reawakening of our conscience as a city. There were calls to defund the police. I stood firm against taking away $50 million from our police department because I knew that there was no plan to keep people safe when those resources were extracted. But at the same time, I held firm on my commitment to reimagining what public safety could and should be, more constitutional policing, deeper investments in violence prevention. I created and co-chaired the Reimagining Public Safety Task Force, where we focused on tangible solutions that improved our criminal justice public safety system, but also kept people safe in the meantime. We have to bring a multi-pronged approach, one that is very clear. We will not allow our residents to be victimized on our streets, folks to come from out of town in order to do dirt, while also recognizing that we do have to address root causes. We have to engage people directly in terms of creating alternative pathways and other options. I will continue to bring that leadership, balanced, multi-pronged approach as we have these difficult conversations. Just as we brought more than 140 Oaklanders together on a bi-weekly basis to ensure that we had these conversations, that's what I intend to do. Unity without action does not deliver the results that we need. and I intend to deliver results as your next mayor.
Thank you, Loren. Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to veer off in yet another direction.
So he did
The
defund.
Coliseum, the sale. Oh, you've heard of it, huh? So I want your thoughts. The sale is done.
Great question.
What do you want, Barbara, to see done with the cities, what they sold it for, their part of it, and basically the expansion plans that are on? What would you like to see happen out of that?
Well, David, I hope it's done, but I think we have a little ways to go.
A little ways to go.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But let me just preface this by saying, had I been the mayor, I never would have linked the Coliseum deal to the city budget. I think that was not the right decision to make. But secondly, what I want to see done is what labor and business and the community have laid out, and that's economic development. It's housing. It's a plan for the surrounding areas in East Oakland. I know for a fact that people will come to Oakland if, in fact, they feel safe, but also if we have what the neighborhood and the corridor up Hagenberger Road would place there for tourists, for people to come, hotels. We need jobs, good paying union jobs, yes. But also we need to make sure that the venue is such that entertainers want to come, sports teams would want to come, and that depends on how this deal is settled. But economic development, making sure the neighborhoods in East Oakland benefit from the economic development and the jobs and the services is key in any deal that will be consummated as a result of the Coliseum. But again, I hope it gets done. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not happy about it being linked to the budget. But East Oakland deserves to have commerce. It deserves to be a vibrant community. It deserves to be safe. It deserves to be clean. And in fact, it deserves our support. I won't even talk about the A's, but leaving, but East Oakland seemed to be a better venue and better spot for the teams.
Thank you, Barbara. Loren?
Yes, I agree with Congresswoman Lee. It should never have been tied to the budget. That was I will say that was a short-sighted decision to kick the can down the road so you don't have to make hard decisions. Let's just liquidate an asset and save us a couple years. Should have never been done. When I look at the Coliseum, I think about it from my tenure as the council member representing District 6, where the Coliseum sits today. I have always had a vision that in East Oakland, we will have a second downtown, maybe not with high skyscrapers, but with just as much economic activity to rival what we're generating out of our downtown today. East Oakland has incredible potential that we have been sleeping on. When it comes to the Coliseum deal, I do believe that it is a transformational opportunity. 20 additional city blocks that can be created. Imagine the jobs you can create, the revenue, the tourism, the open spaces, the recreation. So much opportunity there, and it's all part of the downtown specific plan that has already been entitled back in 2014, 2015. We have to deliver on that. I am also cautiously optimistic on what it could be. If I were mayor at the time, though, I would have not sold or entered a transaction sale where we get a one-time payout. Oakland needs to be smarter about how it engages in investments, development deals, working with other businesses. We should be creating recurring revenue that addresses our structural budget deficit as opposed to a one-time payout that evaporates within a year or 2 years. We should, just like Santa Clara, San Jose, we should have recurring revenues that help to fund police, fire stations, help us to continue to do violence prevention, to invest in our community, the services that we so badly need. That's what I'm looking for out of the Coliseum deal. I will help to guide it and make sure that it comes through, and will leverage my experience on all sides of the negotiating table to make sure Oakland gets its best value from that transaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Loren. Thank you, Barbara. Let me ask you about the police, fire departments, funding for them. The proper kind of funding so they don't stop doing what they're doing. What can you do?
Well, the budget, first of all, 70% of close to 70% of the general fund, 30% for everything else, in essence. So what can we do? Measure NN was passed in November, and the voters voted for an increase in the police force to 700. We have probably 650, 660 right now, and some are on leave, 10%. Now, it's important, though, to recognize that long-term, I believe we need about 850 officers. And it's important because community policing is part of this. And I know for a fact that our neighborhoods need more foot patrols and more community policing. And the police need to engage more with the residents in Oakland. And so, having said that, though, getting to 700 is going to be difficult, but we have to get there. But we also need to recognize, in Measure NN, the voters voted for a comprehensive public safety strategy, which means beefing up and supporting and making sure the ceasefire is strengthened to become more of an integral part of the police department, because that's crime prevention. And we have to have crime prevention as part of an overall public safety plan, and the voters voted for that. So as mayor, I would say on day 2, let's implement and move forward with Measure NN, which is what the voters required. Also, and there's some disagreement about macro, but I believe we need to strengthen macro. We need alternatives to calling the police. And if people are having mental health challenges, we need a competent, strong mental health intervention team. And so strengthening macro is extremely important. Finally, I'll just say, I believe that we need to also look at efficiencies within the police department, and where the overtime is not accounted for or transparent, we need to make sure we know exactly where those dollars are. And can we also develop more efficiencies with technology within the police department, who are doing administrative work, so they can get out and police? And we need to do a public safety corridor. Senator Jesse Arreguin is chair of the Public Safety Committee, and we have talked, and I know Supervisor Nate Miley have talked about a public safety corridor, which I would work with them on to implement right away.
Thank you, Barbara. Loren, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, be happy to. So yes, Measure NN is the law of the land. We voted on it in November. It represents the bare minimum. We've got to do more to keep our residents, our businesses, and others safe. I not only believe that we need to get to 800 or more officers, I have a plan to get to 800 in 3 years. With 3 academies per year, we will be able to not only beat attrition, but we will also be able to add to our ranks. It has to be funded, yes. But we talk about the overtime that exists. If we apply that overtime to actually full-time employees, we will be able to compensate for a significant portion of the FTEs that we require. We also know that there are corporations based in Oakland that have already committed to investing $10 million per year, the big 4, Kaiser, PG&E, Clorox, Blue Shield, $10 million per year to increase safety and revitalization of downtown where their businesses are headquartered. Other businesses are also ready to support and partner and invest, but they don't trust our city to do what we need to do, effectively stewarding resources, effectively delivering for them. If we get our city to operate better, eliminating the mismanagement, the corruption, the decision-making that is not in our long-term best interest, we will be able to attract more resources through public-private partnerships. In addition, we have to focus on 911, get 911 response times down. We can't have folks waiting on hold multiple minutes for someone to come and answer their call. 100%, and I'm 100% behind the violence prevention, ceasefire, Youth Alive, the OK program, those programs that are demonstrating, okay, there you go. Those programs that are demonstrating real results, we have to be performance-based, just like I'm going to intend in our city, our contractors, those who are providing these valuable services as well.
Loren, Barbara, thank you. Barbara, the homeless crisis. You can't miss it. It's part of the bad reputation of Oakland that has spread around the country. How do you handle this crisis?
We need Derek.
It's part of the bad reputation of Oakland, but it also is a moral disgrace. Housing should be really a basic human right. I think we all need to have that framework and that lens about our unsheltered population and how we move forward. A couple of things. One is there's a racial equity issue here. The majority of people living on the streets are Black. Secondly, many people who are homeless, well, a third are drug addicted, a third mentally challenged, a third life experiences. In the past, of course, I have brought in millions of dollars for shelters, for affordable housing, for Covenant House, you name it. And I've had a chance to be with people who are unsheltered, and a couple of things that are so important. One is that we focus on, okay, people who have been homeless and unsheltered the longest. That's what we need to do, but we also should focus on those who have been recently unsheltered, because the longer you stay on the streets, the more it becomes home, the longer and the more people come, because all people need communities. And so we need to look at our policy and how we reset that and focus also on helping people get off the streets with, of course, the combination of services, mental health, rehab, transitional housing, hopefully helping them find a job training and a job. And so it's a continuum of case management that has to continue throughout the time that we're trying to help people off the street. Now, we also need to look at pilot projects. And I have the contacts and I have the leverage to bring in private philanthropy. It's such as what is taking place in Portland. There's a program, and I look around the country to see what works that could maybe be applicable here in Oakland. People are paid to clean up the blight who are unsheltered, okay? 70% of those people, along with the services who are unsheltered, cleaning up the blight, 70% find permanent housing and get a job. And so I think we need to look at how, and I've talked with Councilmember Ken Houston, what he's doing in East Oakland. Why can't we make sure that we at least identify private philanthropy to help us with our unsheltered population, come up with new ways, because we have got to do something. Our veterans, 400 veterans living on the streets, I helped fix this where the VA is responsible for housing veterans, but yet the city is not in collaboration like I would be if I were elected mayor with other agencies, so that we can work together and coordinate and make sure other agencies are doing their job also.
Thank you, Barbara. Loren?
Absolutely. So, again, because of my experience on the ground wrestling with these issues at the city municipal level, I'm not just talking about what I think could happen, what I hope will happen. I'm talking about what I know can happen because of my experiences. As a District 6 council member, I did lead our Life Enrichment Committee. That is the committee under which homelessness issues came up. What I noticed was that there was a lot of talk, a lot of back and forth, a lot of people very astute about what the problem is, but there wasn't real action moving towards a solution. So in that situation, yes, I brought folks together from across the ideological spectrum to weigh in on, well, what could we do? What should we do relative to our unhoused? Yes, the only true solution for housing is to get for homelessness is to get people housed. We don't have the money to get people housed at $1 million a unit right now. We have to find more creative ways of developing more housing at all levels of affordability. At the same time, we have to ensure health, safety, and dignity in and around those encampments. And so I brought folks together, listened, and we developed the encampment management policy under my guidance on the council, brought that forward, secured a unanimous adoption by the council. And implementing that will help to ensure that we address the significant number of fire 911 calls that are going towards encampments. It'll address the fact that we have encampments in front of our schools where they shouldn't be, high sensitivity areas, in front of businesses, in major parks, along waterways. Those areas that there's pretty universal agreement, we should not have them there. And yes, for those lower sensitivity areas where encampments may persist, we need to have standards that keep fires from happening, that keep people protected at the same time. And so, yes, we have to have a balanced approach. Under my leadership, we will implement the encampment management policy. We will also assure that we have appropriate services to address our unhoused population. Our unhoused population, they do not all have the same needs. It's not one size fits all. Some need deep mental health services and others simply need first month, last month and security deposit, and they can sustain themselves. Yeah. We have to have better services, better accountability, and again, measurement of how our contractors are doing their jobs.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to the both of you for articulating so well your approaches to what should be done. All right, I'm going to step back because I want to bring up the name of Shang Tao, the former mayor of Oakland, indicted, recalled. We all know, but I want to know, one, how did that impact the city of Oakland? And Barbara Lee, how did that impact you?
Well, the important thing is how it impacted the city of Oakland. These pay-to-pay schemes have no place in Oakland, and we need to make sure that corruption is wiped out of Oakland. Secondly, I was against the recall. I have been against all recalls. Also, in Oakland and throughout my former congressional district, I never endorsed in local races, so that's a fact. But I was against the recall. But also, it's important also that we recognize that whether you were against or for the recall, that we have to move on. That the voters spoke in Oakland and they decided to vote for the recall. That was the voters' decision. Also, I'm very proud the way it has affected me in my campaign is I have supporters of the recall supporting me and helping me, and I have opponents of the recall supporting and helping me. And they understand that someone who can bring people together and close the door and work together from different points of views with different issues that are so important to the city, that we can do that on a variety of issues here in Oakland. And so it's important, though, that we recognize that we have got to tighten up this code of ethics in Oakland. We don't even have contracts online. How many contracts have been let for how much? What's the scope of work? Are there cost overruns? What is taking place within the city with contracts? We have no idea. And so if I were mayor and if I'm elected, I would definitely institute a system where there's transparency in contracting, in rules and regulations, close many of these gaps that allow corruption to happen in this city, and make sure that all of the elected officials and appointed officials live within the code of conduct that we all and voters and residents deserve.
Thank you, Barbara. Loren?
I'm just going to start by saying the number 677.
That's what you lost.
So clearly, Sheng Tao's indictment laid bare what many people suspected in terms of the corruption and bribery that impacted the 2022 election. We would be in a different place had those alleged activities not taken place. But we are moving forward. We are focused on how we move our city forward. And yes, we have to acknowledge that 86,000 Oaklanders stood up against the failed leadership, failed policies and practices of the Sheng Tao administration. A supermajority. I am proud to have stood with them. I did not weigh in on the recall until after the federal investigation. We saw the FBI leaving her home. At that point, I realized there is no way she could reasonably finish out her term in a way that served our city. And apparently the supermajority of the city felt the same. Yes, we have to move forward. We have to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, those who supported, backed, and propped up Sheng Tao, they don't want me to be mayor because they know I am not going to give in. I am not going to prioritize them over Oakland residents. Oaklanders have to be centered in the decision making. Again, it's not about who can bring people to the table, because any mayor will. It's about what decisions are made at that table. Oaklanders have to be centered. That's my commitment. That's why there's resistance against my campaign, and why my opponent has been recruited by some of those same backers of Sheng Tao to run.
Barbara? You can't, I just want to say, this is a campaign, and I am proud of the support that I have from supporters of the recall of Sheng Tao and opponents of the recall of Sheng Tao. And in fact, it is important to recognize also that if we're talking about our labor union brothers and sisters, are we talking about our activists, are we talking about the Oakland Chamber of Commerce? I'm not sure who Loren is talking about, because I put together a strong coalition in this city that is an example of how, as mayor, I will govern. I will not take cheap shots at people who support him. That's wrong. I'm talking about bringing the city together, not dividing us. And I think my campaign has illustrated that. And so I am very proud of the support that I have. And I'm very proud of the campaign that we're running.
Thank you. Thank you both. Can you help Oakland schools, the school districts, money, morale, anything? Loren.
Money, morale, anything. Can you throw them something? Yes. Can we help Oakland schools? We have to help Oakland schools. Our future as a city is tied to the future of our school district. We have way too many who are leaving our city because they don't have confidence in our schools being able to educate their children. We also have too many who see the problems, the challenges in our city, and they say, hey, you know what? If we can't take care of business, if we continue to be on the brink of bankruptcy, I'm going to go somewhere where I get a better value for my money, where my kids don't have to be afraid as they walk to school, where we don't have extracurricular programs, parks without divots all over the baseball field or the soccer field. We have to do better. And yes, the city addresses the wraparound services to support the students having their best possible education inside those school walls. Partnering with the school district on shared resources, partnering with the school district on how we augment the training and learning that's happening in the schools. I am proud to be a product of Oakland Unified School Districts. I am proud to be the son of a retired Oakland Unified School District teacher. It is absolutely critical. As we prepare our students, as they are prepared for life, that is our future. And if we don't have confidence in what we are giving them, then I fear for what Oakland will look like. So yes, we have to partner. There are ways to collectively go after money. There are ways to advocate for improvements in the school funding formulas with the state. There are ways that we can augment. One of the conversations I've been having with school district officials is how we create a citywide conflict resolution de-escalation training where all of our students know how to resolve conflict without resorting to fights or guns, because we know they're too prevalent in our city.
Thank you. Did you want to respond, Barbara?
To the same question?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I can give you another one.
Oh yeah, on schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why sure. Well, first of all, it also relates to the last comment. I'm really proud to have the teachers supporting me in this campaign, and the educators. But a couple of things about schools right now. We see that our public school student population is going down, and school funding is based on average daily attendance.
Yeah.
And this means so many of our young Black and brown students are left in schools which have a hole in terms of resources. And as the city does not fund schools per se, but the city certainly can form stronger alliances and become better partners to the school district. There is a committee that should have been enacted and worked with between the mayor's office and the school district, which is just sitting there. So as mayor, I would activate that immediately, because it's important for the city to provide what it can provide to fill some of the gaps. As an example, I carried legislation in Washington that I want to bring here for STEM education for our young people, getting technology, getting tech companies, philanthropy to come to Oakland to help us with the schools. I can do that. I want to make sure that our labor unions enhance and work with young people going into apprenticeship training programs. I brought money in for that purpose. I want to see that acted on. That could help our schools, our young people. They deserve that. We need to make sure that the families of these students, that the city understands that families need housing, affordable housing. So many kids, our kids are homeless. Why can't we do, which in the past, federally, it just hasn't happened here in Oakland yet, the Deposit Act, where we pay first and last month's rent security deposit through a revolving fund for teachers who aren't making that much money, for students, families. So there are many, many things the city can do to help with our schools, but we just don't fund directly to the schools, but we can certainly fill the gaps and augment it with public-private partnerships and with someone who can exert leadership to bring those resources to Oakland.
I thank you both. Did you want to add something to that? Okay. This room is filled with a lot of good-looking people. Many of them are African American, but not everybody. I want to know about your relationship. Loren, I'll start with you. With the Asian community, with the Latino community, with the Jewish community, with the white community. What's your relationship and interactions with them?
My interaction is great. I've got incredible relationships. I mean, look around the room here. Let's see. So how to respond? Like I could go through each community, but maybe we'll just start with the fact that I'm a kid from Oakland. When we grow up in Oakland, we take for granted the diversity that we have here. It's just an everyday thing. We're growing up with friends from all the communities, API, Asian, Latino, like all over. And yes, that's just commonplace. It was actually a surprise when I went off to school in the Midwest and realized that wasn't the norm for everybody. Just to be honest, right?
Yeah.
So yes, relationships are strong. I have significant support from across the city, all different communities. In fact, I am proud to have the support of folks from across the city representing all ethnicities, all diversities, all professions. When we talk about the support that I have from teachers, the support that I have from public employees, both with the city and the county, the support that I have from our other workers, building trades, others, it is overwhelming, the support we have. In fact, we just released our fundraising numbers, and 80% of our support is coming from individuals right here in Oakland. That Oaklanders are voting with their wallets. So yes, the support is strong, relationships, and as a council member, I work closely with many communities to bring additional resources, to help highlight inequities, and to help make sure that everyone is kept safe, that their neighborhoods are clean, and that we are creating those critical opportunities that allow all of us to thrive.
Thank you.
This is why the beauty of Oakland and the diversity and the vibrancy and the world is here in Oakland, and we should lift this up in our city even more so. And if I were mayor, I would definitely make sure we have some form of a communications PR media strategy to not only, yes, we have challenges, but we need to lift up exactly who we are as a city. And I have the support also of the Jewish community. I have the support of the Muslim community. I have the support of the LGBTQ plus community. I have the support of the Native American community, the AAPI community, the Latino community. It's important that we also recognize the work that we've done in the community. And I will continue as mayor to make sure that what I did as an example during COVID, I was the one who fought to bring resources into Oakland to save lives and livelihoods. But I made sure that the money went into the Black community, into the AAPI community, into the Native community, into the LGBTQ plus community, into the everywhere, Black, Jewish, Muslim, wherever the party was, the pandemic was the greatest. And with the Chamber of Commerce's in all of our communities, it's important that here in Oakland that as mayor, we understand that there are equity issues in each community. There are equity issues in the Black community. There are racial equity issues that we have to see as part of our lens. There are issues of discrimination with the LGBTQ plus community. There are issues that are specific to each community, and a mayor must see each community, recognize, and move forward with an agenda that reflects the specific needs and aspirations of each community, but as a whole, because we are one Oakland.
If I can just address one thing, definitely am grateful for the dollars that came to Oakland through COVID. I think that helps illustrate one of the key decisions that Oaklanders have to make. Grateful for the resources that came from the federal government. I was on the ground as a council member, not just allocating resources, making sure that they were applied in a way that directly impacted people's lives, setting up testing centers, vaccination stations, actually where the rubber meets the road, passing out food to address food scarcity. We created, in partnership with community members, the Liberation Park in the corner of 73rd and Foothill in East Oakland. That was a space where we were able to provide a safe space for folks to gather, an outdoor farmers market. It's critical that we look at what the role of mayor is on the ground, understanding how the rubber meets the road versus simply allocating dollars. And that's what I intend to do, making sure that the dollars we do have get maximum efficiency, maximum impact on the lives of our community.
Thank you both for your comments on that. And I just want to say thank you to the audience for being the best audience in America. I mean that. I'm going to say something directed to the both of you. Jump in wherever you want. When I say the name Donald Trump, help yourself.
Clearly, we have no friends in Washington, D.C. right now. In fact, we have a target on our back because of how we stand up our values here in Oakland. There are assaults coming our way, some that we see and some that are being planned that we haven't yet anticipated. It is critical that we as Oakland stand up for each other. When one of us are attacked, all of us are attacked. So whether that's our LGBTQ community, our immigrant community, others, we have to stand firm to protect them, to provide a safe space, a sanctuary, and to ensure that there's adequate information and resources available. That's what I intend to do as mayor. We do not have a savior or manna coming from heaven or DC or wherever. We have to do this on our own, and it takes the resolve, the leadership, folks who can turn, $1 into 15 cents or, sorry, I messed that up, my bad. That's all right, it's all right. But yes, we have to be able to make do with the resources we have and really make it stretch so we can support all of us. And that's what's going to be necessary as we partner with other cities, counties, agencies, others. So thank you.
Anyone ever heard of development, like encouraging development?
Secondly, we need to understand, and you say, who is Donald Trump? He's an authoritarian trying to dismantle the government, beginning with what you see already has taken place, and now soon it will be the Department of Education. I know Project 2025 very well. I'm here in Oakland, and I want to tell you, I see how it will be manifested here in Oakland, and Oakland needs a mayor who's going to see this coming. Oakland's going to need a mayor who knows how not only to resist, but how to fight for resources from our state government and philanthropy to help our immigrant families who ICE is going to come after soon, and who knows how to make sure that we unify and not allow Donald Trump to pit communities against each other. And that is going to take place if we don't have a mayor who's going to say no way here in Oakland. Also, I am the lead plaintiff in the lawsuit against Donald Trump and the Proud Boys. I was sitting on the floor of Congress January 6th with the NAACP. This lawsuit is moving through the courts. And I share this with you because it's important that you have a mayor who knows the world in which we live and works with the NAACP on this lawsuit so that we can make sure that we win. It may be the only one that we win, but it's important that we know this administration. It's important that we sound the alarm, and it's important that we fight to get every dollar we can find here into Oakland. And again, I'm proud of the support that I have from the chair of the Appropriations Committee in Sacramento, Buffy Wicks. I mean, we need to have allies. You can pick up the phone and call and say, Donald Trump is doing this. We need to have the state step up. And that's exactly what I would do as mayor, use the leverage and the contacts and the ability to fill in the gaps and to beat back what is taking place on behalf of the residents of Oakland.
I would like you both to comment on Gavin Newsom, the governor, and Kamala Harris. Their impact, their importance to you.
What does this have to do with running Oakland?
Very important. Again, taking out the personal importance, they're important to Oakland. Look at the gaps that the governor and the CHP has filled in terms of public safety. We need to have a governor who's going to sign legislation that if I were mayor, I would champion, that would have criteria that Oakland would meet so that we could be eligible for state resources. It's very important that residents in Oakland have the ability to, and through their mayor, to be able to pick up the phone again and say, this is what we need. This is how we want this to work for Oakland. Also, it's important to know that, Kamala Harris was born here in Oakland, and she loves Oakland, and whatever her future holds, she's connected very closely here to Oakland. I was first member of Congress and endorsed her, and she right here in Franco Gower Plaza. And I share that because we cannot, and I'm glad you asked that question, we cannot forget who they are and why a mayor has to be able to connect with people outside of Oakland for Oakland. And that is exactly what Barbara Lee will definitely, not for Barbara Lee, so it's not personal, but it's for the residents of Oakland to make life better for Oakland. Finally, I'll just say here in Oakland, in the city, going back to the city, and what we need to do in terms of resources, we need to, in the city, get our grants writing division together, because we need to know, again, what's coming down the pipe. We don't need to miss funding opportunities. We need to be ready before they even get out on the market. We need to be able to say, okay, Madam Mayor, I want this legislation written in this way so we can benefit, so we can apply for the grants and help Oakland financially. And so that's one effort that there's a big gap in the city, and that goes right back to the governor and how we work with our state officials.
Loren. Absolutely. It is great to have a friend in Sacramento in Gavin Newsom. It is great to have one of our own, Kamala Harris, leading on a national level. What we must understand, we've gotten a lot of support from the state government. Yes, the CHP that has come and helped to improve public safety over the past year. Yes, we've gotten significant funding relative to homelessness, to both clear encampments, help house people, and build additional temporary housing to help our unhoused have a landing place before they can get their feet underneath them. We've gotten several bailouts when it comes to our education system, when it comes to others, but we are a drain on the state of California. We are a drain on the county because we cannot operate effectively. The mismanagement, the corruption, the self-dealing. Folks are ready to support Oakland even more heavily if we can effectively deliver, if we can manage our resources, if we can make progress. I know Governor Newsom is frustrated with how we've shown up. He's expressed this in press conferences and others, and I hear from others as well. And we've got to step up as a city. We've got to operate more effectively and efficiently. That means we have to have someone who understands the details of how we work. We can't just come and be a delegator. We have to be able to roll up sleeves, go deep, understand what is, what isn't happening, hold folks accountable. As I said earlier, make those hard and necessary choices like amending the pursuit policy so that it can be more effective with holding perpetrators accountable. We have to improve how we operate, how our budgets are allocated, and that will help to engender more support from our friends in DC, in the state, and beyond.
Dave, we're not a drain on Sacramento or on Washington. We pay taxes. Come on. No, they owe us. And let me just say, this campaign is for mayor, not for a staffer. We have to have a mayor that has a vision and who can pick up the ball and go to Sacramento and say, you owe us. We pay taxes. Also, we have been missing in action. We need leadership who's going to be at the county saying, you owe us this money. We want our fair share of Measure W that's getting ready to come down the pipe for housing. We want our fair share from Measure C, 150 million coming down for childcare. Oakland needs a mayor who's going to demand their seat at the table and demand what they owe us.
If I can respond, Dave. We absolutely deserve what we're due, and we have amazing potential in this city to pull our own weight. We have struggled to get out of our own way. Look, Oaklanders, if you ask around, you see the dysfunction around you. When people show up at City Hall and see a door that's closed that says come back later, schedule an appointment because we're closed when other cities around us are open, that is unacceptable. When we see that our homelessness rates are increasing when other cities around us are decreasing, that's not a general trend. That's because we are struggling to effectively deliver on the resources that we have. There are operational challenges and issues that have not been addressed because of the mismanagement, the lack of leadership, the lack of political will, and that will help unleash tremendous resources for us as a city. That's what I intend to lead on.
There's something I've been waiting to ask you. I've got several questions for you.
Make them good.
But small businesses,
Finally.
small business owners who say they're dying, they're struggling to survive because of the fees and the costs they have to pay, plus the criminals who attack them, smash cars through their front windows. And people don't want to be out on the street walking to their businesses. What do you say to them?
Look, Oakland is losing businesses because we are not taking care of business. We have to support our small businesses. They are the economic engine for our economy. If shop owners are unwilling to keep their stores open past 5 o'clock in the evening because they're afraid that they will be assaulted as they're closing after dark, that is unacceptable. We have to be a more business-friendly city. That's why I am proposing that we look at really understanding what it is that's driving these decisions of folks leaving.
Look!
The bureaucracy, the difficulty navigating our city. I'm proposing that we establish concierge services for small businesses to help them better navigate the bureaucracy in City Hall. What else is plaguing them?
Enough study!
Exorbitant costs of working here, the cost of living. I'm proposing that we eliminate the business license tax for small businesses making less than $1.5 million each year. What else is holding them back? The lack of foot traffic, the fact that they used to have folks walking around downtown coming into their businesses. We need to activate our streets. We need to have a vacant to vibrant program to get more shops open, giving a foothold for our small businesses that are trying to get a brick and mortar establishment. We also have to recognize that public safety is at the core. I'm proposing that we have a retail and property crime unit that focuses on those quality of life issues that keep people from coming to our downtown, coming to commercial corridors, spending their money, going out to eat, and helping to uplift our economy.
Tax increment financing.
We have to be more business-minded, having someone in City Hall that understands a P&L, how to read a balance sheet. That's what I intend to do as someone who has advised Fortune 500 companies, guided them to creating more value for themselves and for the communities that they're based in.
They still in business? I want to know, Loren. Who?
Well, as somebody who has owned and run a business here in Oakland with 400 employees for 11 years, I know a little bit about small businesses. A couple of things. One is small businesses deserve public safety. Everything, yes, is related to public safety and businesses being able to, first of all, operate a business. Secondly, to have customers come to their business and to be able to make some money and also be able to contribute back into the community. Couple of things about small businesses that we have to recognize that I would want to do as mayor. One is small businesses need access to capital. And a mayor if I were mayor, I would go to these financial institutions, both here and throughout the state, and work out arrangements which we can do for our small business to help capitalize them. And I know what it's like to not have a line of credit. I know what it's like to rob Peter to pay Paul. You know, I know what it's like to have to mortgage my house to be able to make payroll. Our small businesses should not have to do that. So we should make it easier for small businesses to operate, because we will get out of this crisis sooner or later. We will do that together. Also, we need to make sure that our small businesses are not only focused on in downtown Oakland, but in our neighborhoods. We have some very wonderful, creative businesses that should be supported by our mayor and the city. And I would want to make sure we decentralize our small business strategy to include small businesses and entrepreneurs throughout the city. And finally, I'll just say our small businesses need to be lifted up by the mayor. I was at the kickoff of the new restaurant association, 50-some restaurants, with a 10-point program. This is what we want our city to do. This is what we need. Expedite the permitting process. Help us with variances. Help us with public safety. We need to follow that for the restaurants, and we need to make sure that the mayor is connected to all of our chambers and all of our small businesses as a hands-on mayor.
Thank you, Barbara. Loren?
I do want to acknowledge the capital needs, but first it kind of intrigued me. Congresswoman Lee mentioned we will get out of this sooner or later. For me, there's no choice. We have to get out of this sooner. And that is my focus, taking the reins and making sure that we push forward. And that does include bringing dollars to our city. It very similar, as I said earlier, leaning on experiences that I have, we brought almost $10 million to our city to invest in small businesses as we started the ESO Ventures Entrepreneurship Accelerator from the state, because of partnerships and relationships that I was able to build, mature, and leverage. Absolutely, we have to bring capital. There are resources in order to do that. There are partners standing ready that I have worked with while on the council, and looking forward to driving that, while also making sure that we recognize that it's not just the small businesses. We need larger businesses to come here, medium and large businesses that can create significant number of jobs, significant economic base. And part of that is my proposal to establish an economic development corporation, public-private partnership, focused on a specific goal of increasing our economy, bringing in businesses, jobs, and others, so that Oaklanders don't have to commute 4 hours, 2 hours, an hour away in order to make an income.
Look, we're not going to get out of it. We have to be honest with the residents of Oakland. We're not going to get out of this crisis on April 16th. We have to work together, and we have to have our strategy, and we have to work hard to get out of this crisis. So I believe in being authentic and honest with people. So we have to work together to make it happen.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Loren. I'm going to stop you there because it is time for our closing statement. So, Loren, we're going to begin with you.
Again, I want to thank the hosts, those who put this on, those who are watching in the live audience, and those who are online. I want to acknowledge my opponent in this race, Congresswoman Lee. I do have deep respect for her past, her history of service. I just understand that what Oakland needs right now is something different. Oakland needs fresh energy, new leadership, someone who is unencumbered by the existing establishment, those who have a vested interest and have been having their way in our city, guiding decisions not in the best interest of Oaklanders, but in their own interests. It is absolutely critical that we have someone who understands the details, is able to hit the ground running. Yes, I will not be doing the project management, etc. But I, as mayor, will need to hold people accountable. I will be able to look and see, are you doing a good job? Make sure that we implement the systems in place that will last long beyond my tenure as mayor. And yes, I am committed to running again to being a mayor for 6 or 10 years if the electorate sees fit to do that, not simply only working the last 18 months of Sheng Tao's term. So yes, we need leadership that is dedicated, focused, connected to community, has been on the ground working arm in arm, delivering results. Oaklanders have seen me, they've been working with me. I am not coming from the 50,000 foot level. I have been on the ground, committed to this town, and that's what I am consistently committed to doing. So yes, I'm Loren Taylor. I am an engineer, a professional problem solver. I like to fix things. And yes, our city is broken. Above all of that, I am a father raising kids here in Oakland, and I am committed to making sure that our city is a city that we are proud to leave to the next generation and not the one that we have right now. I'm Loren Taylor, running for mayor. I ask for your vote on April 15th. I ask for your partnership beyond that as we lead our city to its true prominence. Thank you.
Thank you, Loren. Barbara Lee.
I just want to thank Loren for his kind remarks and for this campaign. It's a very engaging campaign. It's a very good campaign. But I also want to remind you that many of these decisions that were made that brought us to this crisis occurred by his votes when he was on the city council. So please don't be deceived by all of this, okay? Please. Secondly, no, I'm just saying, you know, we have to be clear about how this budget deficit and how this Duong contract and how all of these votes took place that brought us to this point. Now, so we got to be truthful at these meetings and at these debates. And I have to just repeat once again, I don't believe the city is broken, but I believe that we're in a crisis. I believe we're in a crisis, and I know that we need leadership that can lead us out of this crisis. We don't need leadership that's going to, once again, try to fix something because the city is not broken. We're in a crisis, and we have to be able to work with our allies and work with people in Sacramento, in Washington, with the county, with East Bay MUD, with East Bay Regional Park District. We have to bring this region together for Oakland. And that's why I'm the only candidate that's endorsed by people on both sides of the issues, by landlords and tenants, by pro-recall people, anti-recall people, by hundreds of people from all over the city, by activists, by climate activists, by organizations that are dealing with human trafficking, by 7 mayors and city administrators. And so I think it's important for you all to think about this election and who can bring what to Oakland right now in the midst of this crisis. And who, yes, I have, and I know one of the comments was I was a flash from the past, but I'm really proud of my past, and I'm really proud of what I've been able to do. And we need a flash and some light shown on this city, because it's a beautiful city, and I hope you join me in this effort and elect me as mayor on April 15th. Thank you again.
Thank you, Darren. So, thank you for a little extra time since my name was invoked. Yes, I was on the council when some decisions were made, and I was able to protect the interests of Oaklanders while on the council. Those who were on the ground paying attention know that I did not support either of the last 2 budgets that were passed while I was on the council. So yes, when you're on the council, you are one of 8 votes. You have the opportunity to support status quo or go against it. And I am proud of my record going against business as usual politics, those decisions that were not in the best interest of Oaklanders, and that's what Oaklanders have seen. That's why we were able to get better results in my district, the partnership, the coordination, etc. Yes, it does take partnership, pulling folks together. That's what I have demonstrated. in pulling together the Reimagining Public Safety Task Force and moving it forward, in developing the encampment management policy, in bringing additional resources, making sure that equity was delivered across our city, particularly East Oakland. So thank you for the opportunity to respond. And yes, proud of my record, excited about building on that to move Oakland forward.
Thank you. Let's hear it for both of our candidates tonight. Loren Taylor, Barbara Lee, thank you. Thank you for this incredible audience. Thank you for being here. We want to thank the sponsors. We want to thank KTVU TV, Fox 2, all of us who are here tonight, wishing the best for the future of Oakland.
We're here. So what'd you guys think?
Wow, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Can I start?
Yes, please.
I don't have any confidence that either one of them can actually lead us out of this picture. And I'm saying this because the cities gain their money to operate by development. Oakland has an underinvestment problem of historic proportions. And I'm not going to make a speech. I'm going to cut myself off, in honor of my guests. But we need to start by, I'll just say this is what I learned and something I was reminded of when I visited Detroit. And looked all around, it's like nothing but new building, new building, new building, new building. And then I had lunch with Kofi Bonner, who was my classmate at Cal and our city manager interim city manager from 1996 to 1997. At any rate, he's now CEO of Bedrock, working for the organization that owns all the land that's owned by Rocket Mortgage and Dan Gilbert, who owns that company, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, Kofi said that Dan Gilbert had this idea. What if I have investments in all these different buildings that need to be rebuilt or built new all around Detroit, and they all go online at the same time? No, it was the same year or year within a period. And that's what they've done. So you look over here, you've got Maximus over here. You've got what was once the home of the Detroit Tigers, now a community baseball over here, or the field. You've got a condo next to it. Everywhere you look, it's like new. And I looked around, and I was there for the NFL draft last year, and I was blown away because I had been to Detroit in 2006 for the Super Bowl, and I got lost going to ESPN Sports Party and wound up like total pitch black part of downtown Detroit that looked like I thought maybe I was on Mars and got stuck in the black side of it. I mean black like black me. I mean black like dark, like you can't see how to get out of there, okay? Detroit changed, and it changed with development. And with that, it got out of its deficit. They've forgotten how cities work, if they ever really knew. Any thoughts?
Well, I didn't have much confidence in Loren Taylor or and
hold on a second.
one of the things that
Derek, hold on.
Loren Taylor, when he was,
it was my echo cancellation. Sorry about that. Thank you. I keep forgetting that. It's like, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
But anyway, Loren Taylor, when he was District 6 council person, when he was running for Oakland mayor, I looked up his record. I couldn't find anything substantial that made him stand out during his 4 years up until he ran for mayor. So I don't have a lot of confidence in him. Barbara Lee, she didn't answer anything. She just gave the political answers, which is not to answer anything. So what essentially I heard was a Peanuts comic strip, blah, 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 blah. That's all I heard, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, Susan, you're our active candidate. This is your time.
Yeah. So, well, obviously, I've been on a lot of forums, or a few forums, with both Congresswoman Lee and Loren Taylor, and I do respect them both as people and as candidates. I have to say, Loren really grabbed my heart when he talked about local issues, especially violence and crime. And he really brought it home with what families are going through with specific examples. I got a little teary over that because I really understand those issues. Congresswoman Lee was feisty. I did not expect that from her. And she was really bringing it home, her experience, her long storied history. So I think it was a pretty interesting debate. I'll tell you what bothers me about the whole thing, though, is like, as a candidate, I am running for mayor. I do actually, it does bother me that Oakland spends so much time stewing in its problems. And I want to build the future. You know what I mean? It's like a crisis is about, it's not an accident. We're in a crisis. It's been a long time coming. Everything's coming to a head on a lot of levels. We knew that we were headed this direction. Here we are. But what's interesting about a crisis is that everybody is lined up in a kind of a unity that doesn't exist when the times are good. A lot of these people don't work together when times are good. They fight, they backstab, there's games, there's all kinds of politics. This is a very rare opportunity for Oakland to build the future. And I don't understand that future from both of these candidates. I want to understand it, but I don't. And what I'm interested in as a mayoral candidate is this is our time, okay? This is our time to separate ourselves from San Francisco. I'm tired of being San Francisco's ugly little stepsister. I'm tired of being overflow housing for San Francisco or stop owner over on tourist trips. We have an incredible opportunity to build a world-class city. And we have incredible assets in this city. I mean, what cities have waterfront real estate like Oakland has? We have a natural lake in the center of our city. We have East Bay Regional Parks. I mentioned in a debate, like our businesses are leaving for a hellscape across the border in Las Vegas. Like it's 120 degrees there in the summertime. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not fun being in Las Vegas in the summer. You could actually die going outside of the house. They tell you not to leave your house on certain days. You can die there. And we're watching our businesses go to a hellscape. And if you drive around Las Vegas, it's like thousands of miles of the worst land in the United States of America. And here we are in Oakland, we have the best of everything here. And I just think that, I understand we have problems and we have to get specific about the problems. But what I'm excited about is how to build the future of this city. I mean, this is an incredible opportunity. And if we can get the right person at the helm of this city, we can turn the city into a destination city. Oakland should be a destination, not an afterthought, okay? We've let ourselves get into this position of being San Francisco's ugly little stepsister. I mean, let's make a move, okay? Let's take advantage of a crisis and make a move and separate ourselves and go after it. And that's kind of the thing that concerns me about this election is like, what's the future of this city, not just stewing in all the problems. We all know what the problems are, but how are we going to build our future? And what does that future actually look like, right?
Yeah, I think you hit on something. And then, Derek, I'm going to come to you real quick. But I just want to say, there's no vision. Right. What do you think, Derek?
Absolutely no vision, is they weren't talking about the future. They were just whitewashing everything, essentially. I didn't hear any answers. I didn't hear any kind of possible solutions or the formation of a solution. All I heard was just blah, 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 as business as usual. And so it did not inspire any kind of confidence for me for either of those candidates. Because I'm looking for some sort of answers, some solutions to anything. Oakland has so many problems. Pick one, pick a solution. At least give us a solution. Instead, they're giving us nothing.
Hey, Susan, since you're here and a viable candidate, contrary to the comment that the only two viable candidates raised $600,000, I thought that was. Tell us, how would you have debated Loren? Since Loren, I think, had a more foots on the ground perspective than Barbara. Now, how that works, sometimes you can know too much and maybe it upsets people. I don't know. But how would you have debated, Loren?
Yeah, well, that's a tough question, Zinni, because there were a lot of questions in the debate, so there's a lot of categories that the debate addressed. But I think obviously our number one issue is public safety, and we got to get a grip on that. And I mean, for me personally, our police officers aren't doing their jobs. I mean, the police chief just straight up said that at a commission meeting. The officers are doing as little as possible because they're afraid of making a mistake. I mean, look no further as to why public safety has collapsed in Oakland, right? That's straight out of the mouth of our police chief. He said in 30 years, he's never seen anything like the collapse of the inside of OPD. So this is a really serious issue. And I don't see how we're going to attract good, high quality police officers to this city, which is what people want. And I don't see how we're going to retain them. We have a big issue in Oakland with retention. And so we got to get the culture of OPD healthy. And, I'm a believer of systems management. We have so many systems in Oakland and they don't talk to one another, they're not integrated. And, culture is like, it's a two-way street. You have to poll the officers on the ground floor and figure out what the problems are from their perspective. And you have to connect the systems and hold them accountable.
Yep.
The culture is created by the people managers and the systems that manage OPD. And it can't be a one-way street. The officers have to provide a feedback loop of what they're struggling with, and the managers and the systems have to be held responsible for a healthy culture. And I do think that we have some challenges here. And look, let's be honest about it. We've had a lot of senior officers fired from the department in a short period of time. And I'm not here to debate like why they were fired. I have no idea. They haven't released any information to us other than conjecture. But you can't not have a cultural problems when you like terminate a police chief. The interim police chief was about ready to get fired.
Yep.
There were something like 5 or 6 senior 20-year veteran officers ready to get fired. And now the chief is telling us there's a culture of fear. So it's not a stretch to realize, like, if you're going to, whatever the circumstances, because I don't know what they are, but if you're making a decision to terminate that many senior officers, you have to have someone come in and help the officers through that, or there is going to be problems. And I do actually believe that's partly where this is coming from. I think the other issue is the systems. There's obviously problems right now on the police commission. They're being accused of being politicized. They're being accused of kind of like catering to special interests, not representing all citizens of Oakland, but only this one organization that shows up. And so, when you have a police commission of citizens that's appointed by politicians, it's kind of a problem, It's like it's obviously kind of like a natural consequence that the commission could be politicized. The other problem with the citizen-led commission is that because public safety has become a divided issue in Oakland, they're dumping a lot of the decision making on the citizens kind of as political cover, right? It's like, well, if the citizens decide, then they can't blame me for it. And that's happening, I think, with the police chief. I think it's happening with the public safety committee. And I think it's happening beyond public safety. We're seeing 40 committees of citizens in Oakland and this whole trend of like dumping off all the decision making on the citizens. So if there's anything that happens, it gives you cover, right? As a leader, you can just blame it on the citizens. And I think that this is a big problem for Oakland is the whole structure that they're doing right now. It seems to me to be designed to eradicate accountability. It slows everything down. It takes so long to make decisions because they dump it all off onto these committees and they meet every month and it just goes on and on like this. So it's really systemically at the core of some of our problems in the city. We got to move faster on these issues. This is a crisis. People are actually getting killed on the streets of this city.
Yep.
You can't do this. You can't take 2 years to make public safety decisions. But they are. They're taking 2 years to make public safety decisions, and people are getting killed. It's like when Loren was talking about that, like the reality of what families face, it just caught me teary-eyed because I've been there with some of these families. It hurts, you know. My cousin died at 16 years old. I know what it's like for a family to go through that, and to know that this is going on in our community. It's like, this isn't just about politics, you know. This is about like our communities.
Oh, you on your comment regarding there were so many questions you didn't quite know how to approach it. What I was getting at was if I were debating against Loren, I would have struck for what one would think is his strength, which is that he served on council, and I would simply have taken off everything he hadn't done. For example, he was on council in the middle of the pandemic, and what he did was follow the playbook that Mayor Schaaf set out, and I actually wrote against in real time. In other words, on May 20th of 2002, excuse me, 2020, not 2002, that's a long time ago, 2020, I said, hey, why, Ms. Mayor, you're forming a panel to meet for 4 to 6 months on a plan after the pandemic. You have people who need help right now. Establish a tax increment financing zone and use that to get money so that they can keep their leaseholds up to snuff, so that they can install air fresheners to keep the air clean, so they can maintain the place open under the argument that, hey, I have these air cleaners, I'm getting cleaning COVID out. Help them stay in business. She did none of that. Loren did none of that. So I would hold the collapse of District 6 economy on his back. I'll put it right on his back, and I'll let it stay there. Okay? Because he can't be the council member and let him get away with that. And Barbara doesn't know enough to have a tactile feel. And it's not so much where she's been, it's her look. You can be in Washington, D.C. or where I'm at and feel it as much as people who are in Oakland. You have to want to do that. Like Barbara totally forgot that she had a Zoom to promote the American Rescue Program for Oakland businesses, like my buddy Adrian Henderson, who had his great business over there right off of West Grand Avenue. And he was there. She was pushing the PPP loan program, but where was she when the PPP loan program started? They started turning around and saying, well, all these fraudulent applications, and they weren't fraudulent. Yet people working for the SBA, who if you owned 2 URLs like I did, they would say, well, your company isn't real. Why? Well, you have a .com and a .net. I'm serious. I had to call Jim Atchison, the attorney in Texas. I said, Jim, what the hell is going on? He goes, Zenny, you're right. Don't worry about it. It's going away. I mean, my point is, where were they? Where was Loren? Nowhere. Where was Libby? Nowhere. And we have the legislative tools to fix Oakland now. It's like we've become brain dead with this stuff. Boop, off. We used to know how. So it pisses me off to hear this stuff. And these are supposed to be the next leaders, and it's just the two of them? Open it up to a debate, you know? Instead of what we have with this and this theatrics and candidates that want to get their yayas off talking about each other, but don't really have any solutions. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we need hope right now. You know, like we can't get out of this if we don't have a vision of where we're going. And it needs to be exciting because we have lost our sports teams. You know, we're down. We've taken some punches.
Yeah, we even talk about that, did we?
Yeah, I mean, we need to get up and dust ourselves off, and we need to build the future here. Okay, we can't just be a city that wallows around in our problems and whines about it. We gotta build a future here, right? I mean, this is a huge opportunity. A crisis is always like a big opportunity too, right? Because we didn't end up here for no reason. And it's almost like we were headed here, it's all come to a head, and we have a tremendous opportunity not just to fix the problems, but to build an incredible future for this city finally. Can you imagine if we can separate ourselves from San Francisco and become a destination city and stop following along everything San Francisco does? If you want me to be honest, I think that's what got us here. We do everything that city does, and they're facing $1 billion deficit. They have all the problems we have. And it's like, what are we doing following San Francisco around? Okay. I mean, it's like a lemming following other lemmings over the edge of a cliff.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's just end that. Okay.
Hey, Susan, by the way, don't forget to tell them how to find you, because you're the only candidate here. I invited the others, and we know the history behind part of that, at least. But tell them how to find you.
Oh yeah, so you can check out my website as Suz Robinson for SuzRobinsonOaklandMayor.com. You can find me there. I have a YouTube channel at Suz Robinson at OK Town, California, too, there. So, and you can Google me. I'm on Ballotopia. My name will come up. I work for the Bay Area Council. You can reach me that way too on the Bay Area Council website.
Oh, say your website again, Suz Robinson.
Suz Robinson, OaklandMayor.com.
Got it. Oakland Mayor.com. And there. Hey, Derek, she could use your help. Here,
Derek, you're a warrior. You are a warrior. You are on the streets right now. Are you outside? And you're tell us about where you are and what you're doing.
Well, what I'm doing right now, I was working for a business owner who ended up being not so up and up. And in fact, that particular business owner screwed the landlord by not paying him any rent for 2 years. And that's how we got evicted. This particular business owner also used me because of all my connections downtown with the city building department, all the inspectors, the police department. And they really used me to get through all of those inspections and licensing. And once we got up and running, we were actually running a legitimate business. And then when they failed to pay bills on time, PG&E shut off electric. Well, all of the livestock that we were raising in the aquaculture farming all died because we lost the pumps, we lost the aeration. And so that was a $50,000 loss. At that, we were right there, only within a week of harvest, and we would have been able to sustain the business. But because they didn't do their part, we got evicted. And I had only 1 week of notice, literally. 1 week of notice.
I remember that. I remember, yeah.
And the sad part about that is that when they started doing the illegal growing inside of there, the business was robbed in the middle of the night. And I sustained a lot of head injuries from being kicked in the head. I had broken ribs. My left hand was broken. They broke my cheek, my eye socket, and I've had to deal with symptoms similar to having a stroke, where my left side suddenly just goes numb and I fall to the ground. And so that's been my medical issues, along with new PTSD, because waking up to 2 guns in your face.
What?
Literally, they were inside the building, and they were only 5 feet away from me, one with an AK-47 pointed at my head, and then the other person had a shotgun on my dog. And I had my 45. Literally, I sleep with my 45 under my pillow here when I was in the business. And but that was because I worked counter terrorism for the government, so I'm used to sleeping with a gun next to my head. In fact, when I was usually sleeping out here homeless, I had 3 guns within a foot of my head. So no matter what direction you came, I got you.
Hey, Derek, how is that movie coming along that you're the focus of?
The what again?
documentary movie that these gentlemen wanted to make where I had to
Oh
sign.
yeah, we're looking for a producer right now, and there's 96 minutes that has been. It's trimmed down to 96 minutes, and so we're looking for a producer to finish the documentary, and we'll be ready.
I think I have someone who could help. My friend Leslie was on this show earlier. She just is promoting her movie on homelessness. It's called Out Here. She was just out. She's on here 2 o'clock your time.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, I dropped out of the race because of all of the medical issues that I was dealing with, because I'm in the middle of rehab, and so I have rehab appointments Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes. So there's a lot of things that I have to do, and then on top of that, I have medical psychiatric appointments to deal with my PTSD from my new PTSD from being almost killed. Because normally I thought I was dead, because normally what those robbers do, they kill everybody in the building and then take their time. That's the normal. And the sad part was our silent alarm was tripped. We had a person in a safe room who monitored what was going on. They were on the phone with 911 dispatch the whole time. It took 40 minutes for Oakland Police Department to respond to an armed robbery. And they were talking to our person in the safe room who was monitoring and looking at all the cameras. When they surrounded the building, I was already tied up. I was almost naked outside in the yard when they surrounded the building. I could hear them. I could see the flashlights on the fencing and everything. They're telling them to come out. Yeah, all 8 of them ran out and ran away. The police captured none of the 8 armed robbers because of the do not pursue policy. That was the reason they gave us. We are under a do not pursue policy unless there's gunfire.
We got to have this again.
That's crazy.
You know, and I want to thank you all for coming. We've been out here for almost 3 hours. That's not bad. Yeah. So you can tell everybody else.
Look, before we go, Zinni, that do not pursue policy, like, I want to say the police chief could change that in 2 weeks. It's like, what are we doing here? We know exactly what we need to change from a violent felony to a felony. We have to change the manager approval clause. It could be changed in 2 weeks. Like, what are we doing here? Why? It's already been 8 or 9 months. I mean, it's absolutely astonishing to hear a story like that and realize, like, we should have already changed our pursuit policy, right? I mean, even if we change it, it's and even if we change our policy, it's still going to be an extreme pursuit policy. New York has, like, they're getting flack because they have an extreme policy, but ours is like the most extreme in the country. We'll be on par with New York when we make those changes.
The criminals already know about our do not pursue policy. That's why they come to Oakland, because they know the cops aren't going to chase them unless they're CHP officers.
That's absolutely terrible. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Okay, on that note, let's do this again. And
thank you, Zinni. Thanks for hosting. And everyone check out Zinni's channel. He's got one of the deepest dives into Oakland politics online. So if you want to know what's really going on in the city, you got to check out Zinni's channel.
Oh, I really more than appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And I want to also say real quick, as I'm got to go down and make sure my mom gets her medicine. That's part of my job as a caregiver. But real quick, I want to let everybody know that if you're having a problem and someone in media is not telling your story properly, Zinni 62 Media is for hire. And let us tell your story for you. We are the only news organization that openly tells you that we are for hire to tell your story. And we're going to let people know that, hey, the mainstream media did not serve you properly. All you have to do is click over to services. Yes, that's Roger Goodell at the press conference. I regularly cover the NFL. You can see all of our offerings. The prices are right there. We're flexible, everything there. We cover events. We do news about you, everything. Because that way, you folks, you don't have to wait for the media. You shouldn't have to. All right. Thanks, everybody. And hey, stick around in the background. You don't have to close out. That ends this stream, everybody. And please like and subscribe and share. And go Oakland. Thank you.